Hello? Hello? It looks like it's working now. That's yes. Oh. Check, check. 1, 2. 1, 2. I'm ready, man. I am prepared. It has been too long. I'll be, oh, really? Let's see. I'll be here until the 4th. So I've got a couple of weeks. What's this? Sorry, bud.
Hello.
How's it going, Aiden?
Doing good.
All right.
Can't wait.
Yes. Me neither. What's been going on? You got I didn't even call tonight.
Yeah,
I totally slacked.
that's the one thing.
Yeah. Is your sister still awake or no?
I don't know.
See, let me try to call her really quick. Is mommy home?
Yeah.
I had so much to do today. Catch up on 3 weeks worth of, there was like a mountain of mail here, Aiden, and it was crazy. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Your sister did pick up. Hold on.
All right. What's up, Aiden?
Doing good.
Good. You on Christmas break now?
Yeah.
Yay. It's always something to look forward to.
Yes, it is.
Right, so here's the deal. I got you here alone. I think your dad's on the phone, but he can hear if he's listening.
Yeah.
So generally, the idea I have for introducing the fox, it's going to require sort of like a little mini session for me and you with the fox. Nothing's very long, 10 or 15 minutes or something, but I'll have to pull you aside at some point here soon and give you the lowdown on how he's going to come in.
Yeah.
And what he's going to come in with. So it should be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and we're going to bring in Mercy tonight with a little introductory story too.
He's going to be coming in with a bad case of tuberculosis.
How did you guess? Oh my God, that's
Oh, really?
That's uncanny.
I don't know, man. Tuberculosis took 50% of the population down. So this is, pretty good odds.
Hey Kyle, try to exit game voice and come back into the channel. You're like a little clicky or something that might help.
Okay.
You can it's by the little voice connected area down there. There's that little phone handle with the X on it for just disconnect, and then just click into it again. Cool. All right, Lee should be here too here pretty soon. And Alex isn't going to join us tonight. He's got to work early, and the Bristos are playing D&D. So we've got Isaac, Mercy, and Abe. What a team! I can hear you. You're a little faint. You're a little faint now.
It's weird because it's like, oh, all right, never mind. Discord was popping up like this red warning, like your mic cannot be heard, but apparently it could be.
Yeah, I can hear you. It is a little clicky, but I can hear you.
Let me try a different headset real quick.
Okay, yeah, it's like a poppy kind of static, but it's not too bad. It's kind of slight, but can you hear that too, Aiden, or is it just me?
It's like fading in and out.
All right, hang tight, guys. Let me disconnect this Bluetooth, and I'll try my hard line.
Oh, okay, that might be what it be. It might be the Bluetooth. Yeah, I can hear them loud and clear. It's just kind of like pop, pop, click, click.
Right.
All right, cool. I'm gonna get a drink. I'll be right back.
Man.
Oh, by the way, Aiden, you can check your character sheet for any skill checks, and you can do your luck check too.
All right.
And remember, in the journal up there, I've got that luck cheat sheet. And if you have any questions about luck,
All right.
which we're going to go over with your dad too.
Yes. Yes. Oh. That's bad.
I'm back.
Let me see. I just looked over the fox's traits. I'm missing one.
When you say traits, what do you mean? Like characteristics or?
Characteristics, basically.
You mean like your strength and your constitution? Or?
No. It was like the hardened.
Oh, right. The talents.
Talents,
yeah. I think he should. Yeah, he should have 2. Oh, he has hardened. All right, let's bring this up here. Here's the link to the PDF here. Let's take a look at it. All right, let's see, hardened. Ignore sanity point loss from attacking other humans, viewing horrific injuries, or the deceased.
It's a common trait.
Yeah, it is kind of a common theme, isn't it? In the group, I think a couple of you guys have that. I'm just gonna make a note of that here. Your sheet. Hardened. Go ahead and pick another one from that list, Aiden. Did you see the link to the PDF there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just take a look at it and pick another one. Everything but weird science at this point.
Oh my god. Smooth talker. Smooth talker. That's gonna be... Now that's gonna be interesting.
Alright. Yeah, there's some good ones to choose from. For no one, they're gonna come in handy.
Smooth talker.
So what does that do? Gain a bonus out of charm. Yeah.
And he's really good at charm.
85. Wow. Well, but so if you think about it that way, and you already have an 80, so you're going to make it 85% of the time, even without a bonus die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just gonna make it.
I think there are other ones, like some social ones in here that are cool too. Let me look at them here. Master of Disguise.
That's nice.
Huh. Oh, that gives you a bonus to disguise.
That is so many strange.
Shadow. Stealth.
Gary.
Oh shit, he's got a 90 stealth too.
Yeah. That's maybe how he has escaped.
What's up, Deacon Lee? Let me tone down the music here.
Can you guys hear me again?
Yep, I can hear you.
Better?
Oh, he's having a little bit.
Can't tell yet.
Unknown.
Yeah, it sounds okay. I think it's just a little bit poppy still.
Well, I tried to switch to the headset, and it would not pick up the voice at all. So,
Okay, it'll do, man. I can hear you fine.
all right.
We're just we're picking Aiden's backup character's second talent, and we realized he didn't have another talent. And he was like, "Oh, smooth talker, that's cool. It helps with my charm rolls." But he's already got an 85 charm, so I was kind of advising him against that. And then there was another one, Shadow. Helps your stealth.
Shadow?
Helps your stealth rolls, but the fox has a 90 stealth.
Because he's naturally.
He's stealthy like a fox.
What about see, his intelligence is 90. He has an idea roll of 90. That's pretty badass. How was he with guns and stuff? Damn, he's got a rifle skill of 80. I can see where you put your skill points, Aiden.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 4 or 5 skills that are like really high. That's kind of what you want to do. Be really, really good in like 4 or 5 things. So it makes it even harder to pick a talent, though.
I have faith you guys are going to power through and find one.
Yeah.
Excellent weapon.
Excellent weapon. Yeah, I saw that one. Increased base range of 50% if it's a firearm. This weapon is clearly an artisan production. You have a custom 45 with your initials engraved on the mother of pearl handle inlays.
Basically included gold.
Yeah, gold plated Colt 45.
Two dragons for the barrels.
Right.
Mouth open.
So in game terms, what that would do, it would increase the range of that pistol by 50%. So let's see, instead of a base range of 15 yards, it would have a base range of 23 or 22 yards. Yeah, that might be a good one to pick. Makes you a little more accurate with your or rifle. Actually, if you want to, actually your rifle would probably be a better choice because I think a rifle range is 100 yards generally, so that would increase it to 150 yards base range, which is nice for those long shots. Night vision's kind of cool, and darkness reduce the difficulty level of spot hidden rolls and ignore penalty dice for shooting in the dark.
That might actually work.
Being the stealthy guy, that might be cool. Tough is pretty cool too. I noticed this the other day when I was. Tough soaks up damage. You can spend 10 luck points to shrug up to 5 hit points worth of damage taken in one combat round.
Jeez.
So you can just basically spend your luck to ignore damage. I mean, you can do that normally, but it's much more expensive. Which is another thing, Kyle. Before we start here, I think Lee's trying to get in. I have a couple new handouts here. Just decide, Aiden, and record it under your traits there on your character sheet. Just decide which one you want, and just tell me what it is. Kyle, if you look in the journal tab there in the chat box on the right, see at the very top there. Of course, we've got our quick reference rules. Those are kind of more like healing rules and just some basic rules on how to use luck. But I went into more detail with the luck cheat sheet. If you open up the luck cheat sheet here, I'll just pop it on your screen.
Okay.
If you open that up, let's start at the bottom because when you do your skill checks, we always check our luck to see if you raise your luck score. Hey, Lee.
Oh, cool. Okay, you can hear me. Awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you. I think I could hear you before. Maybe you could. I'm just going over these handouts real quick with Kyle.
Sweet.
So when you regain luck, it's a little different. You're going to gain more luck in pulp than you are in the old rules here. So when you roll for your luck, if you make your luck roll, you increase your luck by 1d10 plus 5. If you fail your luck roll, you increase your luck by 2d10 plus 10. And the reason for that is because luck are like points you can spend for all this groovy stuff up top here. It You can adjust your skill or characteristic rolls, of course, which is what we've been doing on a 1-for-1 basis. You can adjust weapon fumble or malfunction by spending 10 points. If your gun jams or whatever, you can spend 10 points to ignore that. You can have your sanity point loss by doubling how much you lost and spending that amount in luck points. You can actually have it. So if you lose 10 sanity points, you would spend 20 luck to reduce that to losing only 5.
Okay.
You can avoid unconsciousness by spending 1 point, and it goes up incrementally there each round. Second round, you want to stay conscious, it costs 2. Third round, you want to stay conscious, costs 4, etc.
Like this is armies in Risk.
Yeah, and this is something I wasn't aware of until I looked at this cheat sheet here. You can regain 1d6 hit points by spending 20 luck points at any time. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And last but not least, you can avoid certain death by spending all of your luck points. It has to be 30 minimum. And you recover 1d6 plus 1 hit points and return in the next scene after combat. So it's kind of interesting here. So if you avoid certain death by spending all luck, everybody present just basically witnesses your death and they think you're dead. But then at some point during the next scene, that character shows up and basically has to give the story of how he actually survived whatever happened to him when he died.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And of course, luck cannot be used to adjust luck rolls, damage rolls, pushed rolls, sanity rolls, or experience checks.
When the bomb went off, I hid in this pile of newspapers, and it shielded me from all the shrapnel.
My example was, I was dead, and you guys like buried me in the prairie, and I woke up 20 minutes later and had to dig myself out of my own grave, and I'm back.
Thanks a lot for burying me, a-holes.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And note that any rolls of in a non-combat situation, that's just bad luck. You can't spend luck to change that, including on pushed rolls and such. And note, very important, skill checks made with luck adjustments do not count towards experience checks. So if you use luck to make the roll, you don't get to check for it. Try to remember that. I've been really bad at remembering that.
I don't know, man. I think you've been pretty good about it, actually. I mean, because we like oftentimes. I mean, anyways, I recall you've reminded people like, okay, you made it, but you can't check it off.
Yep, that's the way it should be. All right, and if you want to, you can look at gambling rules that have been going on. Pretty straightforward stuff. Next, just very briefly, and this is stuff you wouldn't necessarily know right off, being mercy and not being part of the group yet. But if you look way down the list here, after all the characters, there's some handouts in the open there. Gossip and hearsay, San Rafael locations and NPCs, San Rafael history and background, all just useful information. Especially the gossip and hearsay is kind of interesting, the stuff they've heard in San Rafael. You remember maybe hearing about that old mountain lion up in the Eagle Mountains.
Okay.
But if I'm not mistaken, so you haven't actually been able to play with this since Kid Rector at the very beginning, right? Right?
I helped get my character together, and then I had to log off. So I have not been a part of anything. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to listen to most of the episodes. So this actually worked nicely for me coming in blind.
It's actually perfect that you're just coming in because I've prepared something that works really well with that.
Awesome.
So Lee, if you haven't already, you can go ahead and roll for any skill checks you have there and make your luck check beginning of the session here. I think Lee said he was having some mic trouble. Can you say something, Lee, see if we can hear you? Yeah, I can't hear him.
Huh.
Here, let me try to read. to look over Mercy Chiggins' character sheet real quick here. All right, so Mercy also has the talent Hardened. He ignores sanity point loss from attacking other humans, viewing horrific injuries, or the deceased. He's used to death. And he's strong-willed. He gains a bonus die when making power rolls, which would be really good against all those witches and everything.
Witches?
Or those Indian medicine men with their...
They terrorize the countries.
Yeah, with their curses, their Apache curses. And I love his traits, how he described them: practical, violent, and world-weary. As a result, Mercy is a risk-taker. I guess you would describe his appearance as rugged and wolfish. I like that.
Exactly.
He's been out on the prairie too long, probably, hunting down those bounties.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time alone.
Yeah, I still can't hear you, Lee, if you can hear me. It looks like...
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. There you go.
Sweet.
Yeah, perfect. What I was saying, Lee, is if you didn't hear me, you can make any skill checks that you may have checked and increase your luck. Make your luck check.
And where did you get that name, Adalbert?
I just looked it up.
You did? That's pretty cool. I've never heard it before.
Sounds Google generated.
Probably is. That's bad.
One. What was the one for?
My luck.
Yeah, see, he succeeded at his luck roll, so he only gets to increase it by 1d10 plus 5. One of the dice he rolled was a 1. If you hover over his results, over there in the chat box, if you hover over those results, it'll show you exactly what was rolled. Lee also succeeded. He got 9, though. That's plus 5, Lee, so that's 14 total. See, how's everybody doing on luck? Let's do an actual luck check. Let's see, Abe's luck is at 43. Mercy starts with 50. And Isaac, let's drag him up here. Isaac's got 88.
14.
Wow.
He's been saving his luck. And what's Hector at here? He's still at 18. Okay. Yeah, Hector's had a hard time. Stewart's character got gut shot by a double barrel shotgun.
Oh my God.
The first session, and he's still recovering from that.
Got shot by a double barrel shotgun.
Yeah. Oh, like point blank.
Oh my God, man.
Both
That's
barrels.
terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
He almost died. Yeah,
The critical on his gambling.
I think he laid there. He had to make like 3 Constitution rolls to stay alive when he was unconscious, and he made every one of them. He got really lucky.
Yes.
So anyway,
that night.
And then he healed himself.
So here's where we stand. Last session, we did some poking around here in San Rafael. Made some purchases. I believe Egg bought a new wagon with a team of horses. The group pooled some money and bought a house here on the edge of town. La Casa Segura, we named it. It's the safe house.
I think I had a dream about La Casa Segura.
Ah. It's a very nice place. It's 2 stories, very spacious. It's like kind of like in the old Adobe style. If you look at Discord and scroll up a little bit, kind of put a picture in there, kind of give you an idea what it looks like. So you guys have sort of a base of operations here. You have some, you have like a stable boy. There's a stable on site here where you keep your horses and everything. You guys have stocked it with food and all of that. And I guess you guys are making plans to. Yeah, I think the plan is.
Continue.
No, I'm sorry. I guess the ultimate plan is to turn it into a fortress of some kind, or at least that's the talk, Kyle. Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they also had this brilliant idea of stealing or buying a Gatling gun or Gatling guns and fashioning or paying to have a sort of armored stagecoach made
Okay.
that could accommodate the Gatling guns. I guess a mobile fortress in a way.
All right.
So they paid Mr. Peel at Peel's Hardware. I guess his brother-in-law is a carpenter, and they hooked up with him, and they've already put a down payment on it. He's starting to make the coach for them right now. They're just trying to find a Gatling gun. They got some leads on that too that might involve a trip to El Paso to meet with one of these Mexicans' cousins who may have some connections. You guys visited Doc Collins. He's the one that kind of patched Hector up a little bit. You met him. The U.S. Marshal Doug Kirby's been kind of combing through town. Word is, there's a lot of crime in San Rafael, and some actual new marshals have arrived in town, just passing through, and quite a few bounty hunters trying to pick up on these bounties that are stacked up on the marshal's desk. He's got like a stack of like 80 circulars for wanted men. So that's kind of what we did last session. You guys also learned about the Bruja, that there's been talk of the witch, some healer, some Mexican lady that lives up here, Jimena Mendez. She's known to have some kind of magical healing powers by the Mexicans. It's a bunch of.
She don't like the gringos.
Yeah, she doesn't like gringos. Yeah. So you just kind of miss a lot of the meeting the NPCs in town and stuff. So it's not going to matter too much. But here's where the story is going to pick up. Just recently, Isaac Lamont, War Club Lamont, he's actually an old friend of yours, Mercy. You know him well. Perhaps you traveled together at some point. You know Isaac to be a very good scout. He's kind of a mountain man type. He knows his way around. He knows, tracking and that kind of stuff. And you guys have traveled together before. But you had sent notice to Isaac that you were going to be arriving in San Rafael to pursue some bounties in the area, just like all these other bounty hunters. This is a pretty hot area for bounties. And I guess it's my understanding that Brody Mercy Chiggins, by trade, is a hard-boiled bounty hunter.
Well, with all these bounties stacking up, I'm definitely coming to town.
Right. But it just so happened, on your way down from New Mexico, near the Texas border, you caught up with one of your bounties. His name's Red Harlow. He's been wanted for several months for murder. He's killed 2 U.S. Marshals. He's wanted for, there's a long list of stuff. Rape, murder, bank robbery, etc. But you finally caught up with him, and after a gunfight, you killed all his guys and took him alive. So you're kind of up here in the Texas, if you look at this map over here.
Okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pull you over to it. San Rafael's here. Okay, El Paso's up here. And this shows all the U.S. The guys had questions like, where are all the forts? Because they want to go steal a Gatling gun, right? So that's why there's a fort map. But you're about up here near the Texas-New Mexico border. You caught up to Red Harlow, killed his guys, took him alive. And come to find out, this Red Harlow guy, he's wanted by this wealthy rancher. He's an Australian guy. His name's Jack Tyson. Here in the area, up here in southern New Mexico. And apparently this Jack Tyson guy has been chasing Red Harlow for weeks now. And the reason why he's chasing him, he's not chasing him for the bounty. He's chasing him with a lynch mob, basically, because Harlow shot his youngest son in the back and killed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Throw him to the dogs.
Right. So the word is You know, Jack Tyson's out there with a group of, 12 to 15 men riding the countryside looking for Harlow, and they just want to hang him. You know, law or no, they're going to take the law into their own hands, and they're just going to hang him. So he's being pursued by them as well. And you've maybe been in a similar situation before, where maybe with competing bounty hunters, I mean, it can be pretty dangerous if you've captured someone alive. Process of getting them back to collect the bounty can be dangerous in itself, because there's other bounty hunters out there, people like Jack Tyson, who want to do bad things to your bounty. And the thing is, Red's worth $6,000 alive, but he's only worth $1,000 dead.
Wow, worth a lot more.
Right. So it kind of puts you in this situation where you figure, with Jack and his boys out and about, you figure it might be good just to kind of hide out for a while. To just find a place to lay low, and just kind of find a way out and try to get down to San Rafael. So what you do is you send a letter by post to San Rafael, to Isaac, that he's there, and tell him what's going on. That you've got this bounty, Red Harlow. You took him alive. And there's this Jack Tyson guy and his boys out there looking for this guy, and kind of looking for you at this point too.
They know, they're aware that I have them.
Yep.
We need the money.
Yep. And so what you're doing is you're hiding out at this place. It's called the Red Fox Inn.
Ooh.
It's look here. It's near a town there, near the border, in a town called Giddings. And it's right on the shore of Lake Wapato. So you kind of let Isaac know, like, I'm up here, I'm hiding out, I've got this guy, and I could use some backup. Essentially, because if you're to ride out alone, I mean, Tyson's got at least a dozen men, maybe more out there, and maybe a little too much for you to handle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, you're asking Isaac for some backup.
I mean, I'll gather up Abe. Be like, gotta go retrieve my friend.
We will take on this, Bob.
Gotta go get this. Gotta go get this bounty hunter.
We need the money.
Right. So let me go back to the map here.
Whoa.
So we're from San Rafael. We're looking at about probably nearly a 2 days ride up there in this, just across the border of New Mexico. So Isaac and Abe, you're going to want to gather up your things.
Yeah, I have my wagon.
Okay, you're going to take the wagon? Alrighty.
I have gear, ammo,
Yeah, do we need to list that, Sean?
I would you can just take a look at your character sheet, because, I mean, anything on there that you couldn't take with you, I mean, you are taking a wagon, so that gives you some more options if you really want to bring some gear. Just try to get a general idea of what you're bringing with you.
You guys should disguise the wagon as like a tuberculosis patient. I'm serious. Like nobody's gonna want to go near that thing. Perfect.
Volkswagen.
So yeah, just get a general idea on what you're going to be bringing with you.
I have it actually. It's on my character sheet, Sean. Under my.
Okay.
Actually have the stuff listed.
So a couple days later, Isaac and Abe arrive in Giddings, and we'll come over here. And it's kind of a small town, only has a population of about 600. It's right here on the shore of Lake Wapato. I mean, this gives you a bit of a lay of the land. As you can see, from Giddings, Red Fox Inn is just kind of down the shore and a little bit inland from the lake shore. And you're able to find in a general store there in Giddings, they actually sell kind of a map of the area, and that's kind of what you're looking at here. You've got an old cemetery up here. Something it's marked with some Indian site, Antler Hill, Red Fox Forest. There's some logging camps out here to the west. So you guys head out to the Red Fox Inn, and or unless there's anything else that you'd like to do in Giddings before you leave.
I don't know. So no.
Is there a bar in Giddings?
There is. There's like a small saloon. It's a very small town. It's literally you're like a one-horse town. So there's a very small saloon, sells cheap whiskey, cheap beer. Apparently they can't even afford to chill their beer here, so it's all warm.
I'll just flip the bartender a small tip and ask him if he's seen any strangers around, besides myself, of course.
Right.
He says they see strangers passing through here all the time, mister. You looking for anybody in particular?
It'd be a group of about 12, awfully pissed off.
Yeah, he says, well, there's word out east that Jack Tyson's looking for some bounty hunter out in these parts.
What's that?
Oh, he's some rich rancher from New Mexico. Apparently his boy got shot by some outlaw, and he's looking for the bounty hunter that caught him.
Makes sense. All right. Thanks for the warm beer. What are you gonna say?
Abe, you notice on the bar there's like this kind of wet, dirty newspaper. So you kind of flip it open. You're looking for it, looking through it. There's a story in there about a Mr. Robert Hammond. Apparently has gone missing in the area. He's this some wealthy landowner from the east, kind of out here on vacation, doing some fishing. He was staying at the Red Fox Inn, and there's this story about how he went missing recently. You know, and any information obtained can be given to Sheriff Elliott, the sheriff of Giddings.
Is that the Red Fox Inn when he disappeared?
Apparently, according to the story, he was staying at the Red Fox Inn when he disappeared.
Have I heard anything about this dude? Well, I've been keeping a low profile, probably mainly just staying in my room.
Sure. Well, shifting over to the Red Fox Inn before these guys arrive, I can give you a little information on that. So there's a couple that runs the lodge or the inn, Frank and Ellen Colville. They're kind of an older couple in their late 50s. They have a live-in maid named Annie Louder and a handyman named Max Hood that lives on site there. And while you're there, Kyle, there's only a couple of guests staying there with you in Harlow. You meet this guy, his name's Jake Scobie. He says he's a newsman. He writes for the El Paso Gazette. And he shows up about the same day you do, and he's here to do a story about this missing guy named Robert Hammond, this wealthy landowner who apparently went missing like last week. A couple weeks ago now, I guess, at the Red Fox Inn. He's disappeared. So this Jake Scobie guy's here to do a story on him. And the other guy who's staying here, he's an old guy. He's like in his 70s. What's his name? His name's Henry Wise. And he's here just all by himself. He's retired. Nice old guy. You've had some conversations with him. And he's just staying at the Red Fox Inn here for a couple weeks, doing some fishing on the lake.
Okay.
It's kind of autumn, in Texas, so the weather's starting to cool off just a little bit. Here it's still hot as hell during the days, but the weather's getting a little nicer. So it's kind of like good fishing season, I guess, out here on the lake. So old Henry, he's down here fishing. So that's how you hear about the disappearance of this Robert Hammond guy, is from Mr. Scobie, the newsman who's staying here at the Red Fox Inn, hoping to get a scoop on what's going on down here. And of course, like I said, you've met Frank and Ellen, the couple who own the place. They have a maid and a handyman living inside. Other than that, it's just you, Harlow, your bounty, and Jake and Henry. That's it. So you've heard of the disappearance as well. And I'm going to open
Head on out.
Yeah, I'm going to open up this next map here too a little bit. Yeah, so you guys head on down to the Red Fox Inn. And this part of New Mexico is kind of in a valley. And since it's on the shore of this lake up here, the altitude is still pretty high, but it's kind of in this valley where the lake environment and the weather up here, everything's kind of a little more green than you would normally see in the deserts of New Mexico. So it's kind of like a little oasis area around the Giddings area.
Yeah, how nice.
Yeah, it's a place where a lot of people do, have fishing lodges and things like that, vacation homes. The wealthy spend time out here for the good fishing out there in Lake Wapato. Then here's a little kind of layout of the actual inn. So that you find this track. Let's go back here. There's kind of this track that goes out west from Giddings. And then another track turns south down towards the Red Fox Inn. And you guys come riding in. You can see it's a fairly large 2-story building. It's got what appears to be next to the main building. There appears to be some kind of like garage or workshop area. That's what this is down here. And out here towards a fenced off pasture, there's a barn. And you can see some cows out in the pasture, a couple horses. But it looks pretty well kept. It looks pretty nice. And as you guys ride up, Mercy, you've got Harlow chained to his bed, for the last couple days since you've been here. So he's secure. So as you guys ride up, you see Brody, Mercy, Chiggins sitting out on the front porch, smoking a cigar and playing his harmonica. He's got his boots propped up on the railing. And you see a wagon come down the track towards the inn, and you recognize Isaac riding shotgun.
I'm playing the harmonica about as good as he's ever heard me play it. Check that out.
Yes. Yes, the sweet, soft sounds of... Wow. Yeah, the sweet, soft sounds of Brody Chiggins' harmonica come wafting through the air at you guys just as the Red Fox Inn comes in sight.
I'm
really that good?
I just rolled an extreme success with my harmonica lead. And I'm playing a song that the War Club would remember from when we, used to be riding. It's a song I never used to play that well, but I'm knocking it out of the park now.
Right. Yeah, he's out there. She'll be coming round the mountain. She comes. She'll be coming round the mountain. She comes. He's playing it like a boss.
Club says, "You've been practicing, Brody."
That song was just for you. She'll be coming around the mountain.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Sight for sore eyes.
Oh, who do you got there? Is that someone chained up?
Well, he's actually chained back in one of the rooms there, Lee, but yeah.
Well, you know my methods. You obviously know I've got him chained in the room. But who'd you bring with you? I don't know this feller.
I am Abe.
Good friend Abe.
He appears to be a Dutchman, Mercy. At least that's what Texans call German people, or Dutchmen. He's got a very thick European accent.
If you're friends with War Club, you're a friend of mine.
Yes, it is nice to have you out.
He's dressed very strangely.
Don't let his dress fool you. He's deadly with a gun.
Well, maybe you could teach me one of them Dutchman songs, and we can teach you how to dress proper, huh?
What?
Sounds like an even trade. All right, fellas, you know the rub. We got 12 boys after us, plus this rich fancy pants guy is pissed off that, well, you know the story. I ain't going to say it out here on the porch, but we got to figure out a way to get out of here without it being seen, and we'll take it from there. If you want to rejoin me in my room, we can talk a little more freely.
Sure.
We'll secure the wagon. Can we have it somewhere we can see it from the room?
Yeah, there's actually a little area out here in front of this workshop / garage area. There's a couple wagons parked out there already. There's a place to hitch your horses in front of the workshop. There's actually a wagon inside the garage there as well, so you can just park right outside the inn here.
Well, go to the room.
Actually, as you pull up and you guys are talking, Max Hood, he's the handyman, or ranch hand, I guess you could call him. He comes walking out. He says, "Welcome to the Red Fox Inn." He says, "You could check in with Frank on inside there. Would you like me to pull your carriage into the garage, sir?" He looks like he's in his late 40s. He's kind of scruffy looking.
Hold off on that for a minute.
Oh, that's it.
We got to talk to our friend here.
It's all right. He says, "Mr. Mercy, you just let me know if you need anything."
All right, my friend Hood. Appreciate it.
Retired.
All right. So as you guys walk in to the inn, the first room is just kind of a big room that's got these sort of dining tables. Here, actually, I'm just going to put up the map, give you guys a visual. Found this really nice map we'll put to use. All right, so let's get Abe, Isaac.
Oh, I know what's.
And
I feel like I know what might happen.
Where'd Mercy go? Mercy, where'd you go, boy?
Magic show.
Well, I'm gonna have to grab Mercy off the other map.
Good.
We're gonna have to grab Giant Mercy.
Giant Mercy.
Yeah.
We need to make him giant.
But as you guys walk into, oh, there he is. He just appeared.
Yeah, I thought you were moving on board.
Okay, cool.
He just kind of showed up.
All right. So yeah, the first area here as you walk in is sort of this dining area. There's like this little bar, and you can see two gentlemen sitting there at the table having a afternoon meal. Mr. Henry Wise and Jake Scobie. Frank Colville's back there behind the bar, and he greets you guys as you come in, and he says, "These are those boys you've been expecting there, Mr. Chiggins?"
You know it, and a sight for sore eyes. Happy they're here.
All right, he comes walking out and he shakes Isaac's hand. He says, "Frank Colville, nice to meet you." And then he turns to Abe. He's like, "Frank Colville, nice to meet you." Puts out his hand.
I shake his hand.
All right. He says, "Miss Colville, she's got some grub already if you gentlemen are hungry." And he goes walking back behind the bar.
Oh, Mrs. Colville makes good food, boys. I definitely recommend. Bring your
That's Isaac twice.
Yeah, you do. There are some pretty fantastic smells coming from the kitchen down here.
bring your good humors up.
All right, so everybody kind of gathers around the table here. Frank brings out some beers and a bottle of whiskey. And he says, "How long will you boys be staying?"
Well, we gotta, after they get something to eat, we gotta figure out our next steps. So we don't rightly know yet.
Mm-hmm. He says, "Well, room and board's $4 a day." He says, "You boys are welcome to bunk in the guest house over there next door." He says, "Also, if you'd prefer, we got some rooms available upstairs." And actually, he gives you a little tour before dinner. We'll open up upstairs too, so you can see that. Oh, come on now. There's an upstairs area over here. You can see the stairs go up sort of from the living area up here. So he gives you guys the option to stay upstairs if you like. But as you guys are waiting, he brings out some beer and some whiskey. And Jake Scobie introduces himself to you guys. He says he's from El Paso. He seems to kind of fancy himself a pretty good newsman from the way he's talking. He tells you he just talks 1,000 miles a minute. He tells you everything that's been going on, everything from how the fishing's been in the lake to how the Army's been fighting back the Apache outside El Paso, and how it's been a pretty bad year as far as Apache raids and things like that. But he just goes on and on and on. And Mr. Henry Wise is pretty quiet. He seems like a pretty laid-back, gentlemanly fellow. You find out that he's retired, and he is actually a retired medical doctor from Boston.
So he's got a full complement of saws somewhere.
Yes.
Here,
he's an old sawbones from Boston, and he's up here to do some fishing. He says he's been coming up here every year for the last 30 years. So
asked him what he thinks about the disappearance.
He says, "Yeah, that's not too uncommon, for the Texas-New Mexico border." He says, "Although out here in the wilderness, we're pretty far away from civilization, so we don't see much of that out here near Giddings. So it is kind of unusual in that sense." He says, "But people go missing, in this territory all the time. He could have just up and left for some reason or another. Who knows?" He says, and Jake's like, "Yeah, I sure would." He said, basically saying, "That's why I'm here. I'm here to find out what happened to him." And he tells you he's spoken to the mayor of Giddings. His name's Cornelius Bagby, Mayor Bagby, who happens to run the town's newspaper as well. He's kind of worried, actually, since Mr. Hammond disappeared, because a lot of people come up here this time of year for fishing and hunting and things like that, and the mayor's kind of worried that it might scare people off. So Jake says, "I kind of get the sense that old Bagby's trying to keep the story on the down low, because if you saw the paper, the story about I think the headline was 'The Murder Capital of the Great Lakes' or something like that. It was on like page 8, somewhere between articles about prize pigs and recipes for some Mexican salads or something. So he's trying to kind of keep it on the down low. And apparently the sheriff, Sheriff Elliott, he's kind of going along with that. So I don't think they're really doing much about it. That's all going to be part of my story, gentlemen.
Thanks for the preview.
All right, hold on 1 second. I need to do something here real quick. I'll be right back.
Well, I think we should
Discuss.
Get the hell out of here. Yeah.
So War Club, you said
back of the wagon and hightail it out of here, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I think something's going to happen soon.
Yeah, one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to leave here, or we're going to end up with more company than we want. And if we end up with more company than we want here, these good people who live here have been so nice. I wouldn't want to see anybody get hurt. You know how our business is. Good people get hurt.
Do you notice that?
What, Annie over here?
Yeah, she suddenly appeared, so I'm just...
Well, are you boys ready to go right now?
Yeah,
I mean,
Annie's the house servant. She's like the maid and the cook, you know.
What time of day is it, Sean?
It's late in the day. You guys are arriving here. It's nearly evening now.
You guys feel like you could navigate at night?
Oh well, I have a good tracking skill.
I'll tell you, Mercy,
Oh,
in your estimation, okay, it's been, I guess, about 5 days now since you caught Red Harlow. And as you came through Giddings to get out here to try to find a place to hide out, you even heard word as far out as Giddings, you know, from where you were. And this is where you kind of found out that Jack Tyson's not only looking for Red, but he found out that you caught him. He's looking for you. In your experience, in this time frame, okay, someone like Jack Tyson, if you were to kind of go back out on the road and start heading back to San Rafael through Apache country, one of two things is probably going to happen. One, you're going to probably encounter some Apache. Number two, you're probably going to encounter Tyson, because that's kind of where he's looking for. It's a good assumption that you would be heading to San Rafael, you know, to collect the bounty. So in your estimation as a professional, if you were to leave now, there's at least a 50% chance that something bad's going to happen on the way back to San Rafael. It's kind of the whole reason why you're hiding out here, is to let things cool down a little bit. You're pretty sure that Tyson wouldn't find you out here, you know.
Well, in my internal review of the situation, I think, you know, War Club changes changes the dynamic a little, and this guy Abe comes, but still, it's probably too dangerous to go. So
sure, but he's riding with a posse of 12 men at least, is the word.
Oh yeah, so that's what I'm saying. War Club's good, but he's not that good.
Can we see where Can we see where we are in relation to other towns on the map?
Like, sure. Give you a general idea.
Yeah, like Giddings to San Rafael and whatever is around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best map's probably this forts map.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at that. So you guys, Giddings is kind of like right up here. Oops. Where that box is. Just kind of on the other side of the Texas-New Mexico border. And it's pretty remote. Around this border area here, between San Rafael and Giddings, according to the scale of miles down there, you're a good 100 miles away at least from San Rafael. And a lot of that's through open country as the bird flies. There may be some small towns on the way and such. No major towns, major cities in this part of Texas.
We have to return this guy to San Rafael. We can't just return it to any federal marshal.
Well, it would either be El Paso or San Rafael.
Paso's a lot closer.
And, well, Mercy knows that that El Paso's pretty hot with Apache activity too in that area. Well, this whole area, really.
Well, let's see, the good people at the bar aware that I have this guy in the room? I mean, I guess they'd have to know, right?
Yep, they do.
They got to keep it quiet.
Well, I would assume that you would have had a discussion with Mr. Scobie regarding your plight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, and he has sense enough to not fuck you over. Let's just say. I mean, you are Mercy Chiggins. You do have a bit of a reputation. He probably knows who you are. So yeah, he's not going to mess with Mercy in that regard. He's not going to put out any information.
Like,
Yeah.
how about
It's
we
all
go,
it's
like,
all off the record,
around?
Kyle.
Right. Well,
All off the record, Mr. Chiggins. You have no worries.
well, surely I'm appreciative of that.
I want to go like
Maybe Stockton.
a long way around.
Well, why don't we? I mean, maybe we can spend some time if we can leave this guy securely here, and they'll hide him while we're gone. Maybe we can go check and see if we can find anything about this guy who's missing.
Well, you know, I think maybe you've tried. You know, that's something you're gonna have to think long and hard about. If you were to leave Red Harlow here, you'd be putting these people in danger. This guy's is very morally ambiguous, and he's mean as a rattlesnake. If you were to leave him here, he'd probably kill this whole lot here without someone like you looking over him, Mercy.
So we're staying here. Enjoy the good food and the good company.
For the night, absolutely. But War Club, how about Stockton? I expect us to go there. Surely there's a federal marshal in Stockton.
Possibly. Some of these army forts, there may be marshals hanging about.
It's a bit of a trip, but if we get down to there, at least we'll be at a fort. They don't truck no posses, you know, no vigilante posses. You're a bounty hunter. You have a bounty to collect. You know, so at least if we get down to Stockton, you know, if we get around the fort, even if there's not a federal marshal there, we can't be assaulted by the.
Yeah, word is though, Mercy. Word is though that Jack Tyson, he's a strong-headed individual, and he's an Australian. He you know, he's probably not a good guy to mess with, but it's up to you guys, really. I mean, of course, you're probably going to stay the night because night is coming. You guys have been riding all day. It's entirely up to you.
Is there anything north of us? Any cities north of us in New Mexico?
Trackless waste for miles.
Gotcha.
Trackless
They'll
waste.
never expect us to go there.
Yeah, full of Comanche and Apache tribes. Yeah. Yeah, not many roads leading north into New Mexico. There's like maybe one track that leads up there on the other side of the lake, but yeah, nothing nearby. So it's a good at least day and a half, 2 days ride to civilization for you guys at this point. That's where you came from. Actually, I have somewhere around here. I've got Red Harlow chained to his bed down here, Kyle.
All right.
He's chained to his bed.
We can stock the wagon up. I already have a pretty decent amount of supplies. We can stock it up with water and different things, and head down to Stockton. Fully out of the way.
Okay.
Unless you guys want to try to. Idea. That's like the closest out of the way place that he might not expect us to go. Expect either El Paso or San Rafael.
Now that there's more than one of me here, in the evenings, we should probably take watches, just so we don't get surprised in the night. And let's just see what tomorrow holds.
Right.
I mean, we may get word, people ride in and out of here. They may run into the posse. They might be able to tell us something. Who knows? Or who knows? The posse might just ride in here, real. That change things real fast.
Yes, it would. Now, there's probably no open talk of that with the others around mixed company, but yeah.
Oh no, that's just for the guys who need to know.
All right, so you guys wind up later in the evening over here in the living area here. He's got a nice cozy fireplace going, and you guys kind of catch up. And these guys tell, Chiggins what's been going on in San Rafael, and how they caught Kid Richter, and all that stuff. Bring them up to date. Later on that night, you hear the faint, distant rumbling of thunder. And around midnight, this pretty vicious thunderstorm comes in from the lake. And Frank's got Max Booth, out there wrangling up the horses, getting him into the barn, all that. So the storm comes through that night, and it doesn't let up. It's raining cats and dogs out there.
Glad we didn't head out tonight.
So you wake up in the morning to the sound of thunder, and this must be one hell of a storm coming through here. And so Annie, serves up some breakfast. Oh, and by the way, you guys are gonna have to pay Frank. That's
right.
That's $4 a piece. Mercy, I think you probably owe him about $12 by now. And you wake up in the morning to the thunder. And it's raining pretty heavily out there, man. The ground's just covered with mud. It's dark, gray. You can see the kind of fog rolling in off the lake in the distance to the north. Certainly not good weather for traveling, gentlemen.
We wait.
It's like another day at the Red Fox Inn. What do you fellers do when you can't go fishing like you plan when you're here?
Yeah, you kind of look around. You kind of look around, and Ellen, Frank's wife, says, "Speaking of fishing, has anybody seen Henry?" Henry? She yells up the stairs. "Mr. Wise, breakfast is served." There's no answer.
Oh no.
Henry? She goes up there, comes back down a few minutes later. She says, "Frank, did Henry say he was going out fishing last night?" Frank says, "I don't believe he did." And she kind of tells you guys, she says, "Yeah, he likes his night fishing. I wonder if he went out to the lake last night. He may still be out there. Hope he didn't get caught in the storm."
He went fishing out in that?
And she said he looked kind of worried, a little pale. So some time passes. Noon rolls around. It's still raining out there. Thunder's not quite as bad. Wind's died down a little bit. Still no sign of Henry, though.
I tried to comfort her.
Nothing's more comforting than
She says,
the Dutchman's.
She says, "Frank, why don't you have Max ride down to the lake and see if he can find him? If he can't, maybe you should let the sheriff know. But Henry seems to have gone missing." And Frank's like, "Oh, yep." And he goes out. He gets an umbrella out from behind the bar. He goes out the front door to go get Max. Tell him to ride in to Giddings. Comes back in. Some time passes. The rain's letting up a little bit. And a couple hours later, a man comes through the front door kind of a heavy-looking, stocky guy, probably in his mid-40s, wearing like this tan sheepskin coat, and you can see he's got a badge. It looks like Sheriff Elliott. He comes in. Frank says, "Yeah, Henry, we haven't seen him since last night. He's been doing some night fishing since he arrived, but I don't think he didn't say he was going out last night. But if he did, I hope he didn't get caught in the storm." And the sheriff's like, "Yep," and he's sitting there drinking some coffee with you guys. He says, "Yeah, I got my deputy out looking for him." He says, "I'm sure he's just out there, probably holed up in the fishing shack. I have my deputy riding out there to check on him." And the whole time, old Sheriff Elliott, he's kind of eyeballing you guys.
Has he met me before? Or?
I give him a smile.
You don't get a sense that he recognizes you. He may recognize your type, but he doesn't show any sign of recognizing you. Give you a psychology roll if you want.
Yeah, I'll do it.
See if you can get some insight.
I succeed.
The main thing you're getting from Sheriff Elliott, he's a pretty uptight fellow. He looks pretty intelligent, though. He's got this sort of really intelligent look in his eye. But he seems really kind of uptight and anxious, especially after drinking a few more cups of coffee.
He just drinks more.
I would recommend that he drink some decaffeinated brand, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have that back then.
Right.
All right, so he's just wound up.
All right, so he's just there for a little while. And he kind of goes back and rides back out. He says he's going to go, check with his deputy. He's going to go look for Henry Wise out there, see if they can find him. And by this time, it's, like early afternoon. And they've got some entertainment for you guys. They actually have in the living room here, they have a what's it called? Well, how about just some cards? They break out, some cards, and you guys start playing some cards at the tables out here.
All right.
So we can play some poker if you want.
No.
No?
No, I'm too. I don't have a gambling skill.
Well, I think you should have a base of 10.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Either way, it's meant for people who can risk it.
Well, Jake's in, Frank's in, and they're not any better.
Mercy will weigh in.
All right.
Why not?
Yeah. Let me make sure that the base is 10. Might be more, I don't know.
I think it's 10. That's what I have on my sheet.
Oh, yeah, it's on the sheet, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't put any points to gambling.
The fill that skills, yeah, along with rope use and trap.
All right. It's a low dollar game, fellas.
All right.
All you got to do is put $5 in. All right.
All right.
Yeah, and basically, the best roll, the best level of success is going to win. So whoever wants to play, put in $5 and give me a gambling roll.
All right.
Look at that.
I rolled a 6.
Chiggins is cheating.
Oh.
Wow, that's really good, Lee.
Should burn a little luck there.
That's
good.
All right, so let me just do a roll for Jake. And roll for Frank.
Frank hits its head on the table.
All right, so Chiggins, you win the pot. That's what, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 bucks. I think that's right.
Yep.
All right, so you guys passed the time playing some cards that afternoon. And Mr. Wise still hasn't returned. The weather is getting better now. The rain has stopped. Although later in the evening, that thick fog kind of starts rolling in off the lake. It's real foggy, real dense fog out there in twilight here.
Is this a fog normal for this area? Sure is thick.
He says, yeah, when it rains anyway. He says, sometimes we get these storms coming up, you know, in autumn. Usually they last for a couple days or so. But yeah, we get a lot of fog off of Lake Wapato when these storms come in. It'll probably be thick as soup tonight, he says. So that evening, as you guys are sitting around having your evening meal, Sheriff Elliott comes busting in through the front door. And he says, we found him. He says, we found him down there in the woods by the lake. He says, it's a terrible thing. It looks like maybe a bear got him or something.
Oh, no.
He says, he says, Charlie's got him over there in the stable. He says, he describes it basically as like a some kind of animal attack. He says his head's been nearly torn off. He's got like these deep like gash wounds in his abdomen. But he says it's not like any bear attack I ever seen. It's a sticky red mess, he says.
Huh.
And
Where
Abe is just
exactly
like,
did you find him?
interesting.
He says, we found him in the woods up near the lake. He kind of gives you an idea here. See this number 1 right here on the lake? That's where they found him.
You think that's where he was killed, or was the body dragged there after the killing?
He says it's hard to say in all the mud and wet out there. He said, I did notice some kind of strange spore around the corpse. Yeah, he says it looked kind of wolf-like, but strange.
Say that again?
He says, I found some strange spore, some strange markings around the corpse. Looks wolf-like, but it's strange, he says.
Was it strange?
As I can't say of yet. He says, you gentlemen mind if I sit down and ask you all some questions?
Sure.
So he rattles off. He starts asking you guys questions like kind of running along the lines of, did anyone know Wise? How long's he been staying here? How long have you known him? Did he say anything about this, or did he say anything about that? And it goes on for a good hour, just kind of asking you all these random questions. And of course, none of you really have anything important to tell him.
We're totally honest. We're totally honest. At least I am.
100% honest.
And after a little while, after asking the questions, he seems satisfied. He says, well, we're gonna get his body down to Giddings, back down to the Undertaker. We're gonna do some more investigation down there at the site where we found his body. He says, if y'all hear anything, or if there's anything that you remember that perhaps you didn't tell me, Mr. Chiggins, you just send Max down to get me, will you?
Well, we surely will, but I would say for sure, if there's some animal out there, make sure you're bringing some sort of heavy-duty firearm. whatever got that guy, you're gonna need something big to bring it down.
No, he says, oh yeah, I got my scatter gun. I never leave home without.
All right. Well, be safe.
When are you all going back out to that site?
He says, well,
Club asks.
He says, well, we're going to take Mr. Wise back to Giddings first, and I think first thing in the morning we're going to go back out there. See if we can pull up any tracks or sign.
Maybe you should stop by here. It's on the way.
Well, I just might do that, he says. I just might do that, he says.
Might need some help. Never know.
So he leaves with Deputy Charlie. You can see they kind of have Henry Wise's body wrapped up. Kind of catch a glimpse of it. And it's just bloody rags kind of wrapping his body. It looks like he's pretty messed up, that corpse over there. But they take him out of there. And the weather's really kind of clearing up a little bit now. It's, like I said, you're just about to have your evening meal when the doc came in. And you can see that Mr. Elliott, Mr. Coville, Frank, the owner of the inn, his wife's pretty upset. His wife, Ellen, she's pretty upset about the whole Mr. Wise thing. And you can see he's consoling her and trying to calm her down and everything. And the weather's actually kind of turning nice now. The sun's going to set in about an hour. He says, you know what, boys? I think since the weather's changed, I suggest we have a bit of a cookout. He says, I got a nice pig roasting grill out back. We got some fresh pork. He says, what do y'all say we try to just salvage something out of this nice day?
Sounds to me like a dandy plan.
Sure thing.
Right. So Mrs. Colville and Annie kind of get, all the cooking stuff together. And you guys head up back. He's got this big pit back there. And they start cooking up some meat. And actually, just when they're ready to kind of drop the meat onto the glowing coals back there, you notice Max Hood, he's with you guys. He starts acting kind of strange.
I'll regard him, and can I roll a psychology on him?
He's kind of like fiddling with his feet in the sand out there. He's kind of looking down at his feet, kind of scratching his feet in the sand. I could have swore you kind of hear him like this sort of low-pitched whine coming from him. And you see him, he's kind of looking off to the north out toward the lake after a little bit.
Let me roll psychology on that dude. Can I?
There's no real reason to at this point. He looks like kind of nervous, like he starts just acting kind of strange and unnatural.
I start
as they put the meat onto the coals.
All right. Well,
why are you getting all nervous?
Oh, he says,
something about grilled meat, the meat and the lake. What's going on here?
He says, no, Mr. Lamont, Mr. Coville. He says, I forgot. I was supposed to meet some friends tonight.
No.
But yeah.
No.
He says, I feel kind of bad now because I accepted the invitation to the little cookout.
You're eating this pork.
He's scratching his feet. He's kind of looking out towards the lake, like away from you guys. He's looking out there into the fog.
Pork Club gets a little closer and goes, "You're eating with us."
All right. Well, Ellen Coville steps in front of you, Isaac, and she kind of gives you this dirty look, Isaac, like, kind of like, how uncouth of you. And she says, well, Max, it's okay if you want to go off with your friends. She says, if they'd like, bring them back for dinner later. And Max's eyes get kind of big and he says, oh, they'd like that. And he starts running off to the north, like out towards the path out there.
Okay, so
Mercy goes.
I turn to Mercy. I'm like, I'm tempted to shoot this guy in the back.
Yeah, it's too bad you left your gun in your room. Oh no, you got a sidearm. Everybody give me a spot hidden.
Slaps up his binoculars and follows his path there.
Yeah, all right. Everybody give me a spot hidden.
Oh wow! I hit myself in the eye.
Chunk, chunk.
Oh my God! We all saw it.
I hit myself in the nose and eye.
Is anybody close at least?
Not even close. Like literally, I may have gouged out one of my eyes.
All right. Well, no checks there. But actually, Mercy's got binoculars, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll give you a bonus die for that. So roll again. There you go.
Nice.
You can check it.
All right.
Mercy. Max gets about 200 yards away. He's just about to go out of your range of sight, kind of in the fog with your binoculars. And you see Max stop, and you see him kind of look back towards you guys. And then he drops down on all fours. And he stays that way for a few seconds. And then you see him charge off to the north there on the ground at a pretty amazing speed.
So I kind of drop the binoculars down off of my face and, well, I guess I'm going to have to tell you fellers what I saw, but
yeah, you're kind of shocked.
Don't, you know, I'm a man who, I wouldn't make stuff up is what I'm trying to say before I say it.
Say it. Spill it.
Everybody's on the edge of their seat. No.
That Max feller, he got just to the tree line there and he walked down on all fours and took off like a damn wolf or something on the ground. I had never seen nothing like it.
Our club immediately runs up to the room and arms up.
Okay. Isaac runs into the inn. Ellen Colville turns towards you, Mercer. She says, are you sure you haven't had too much to drink, Mr. Chiggins?
Miss, I'm a man who likes his drink. I ain't had a drop today. I saw what I saw.
He says, you cleaned the lenses out in that little contraption of yours real good, right? And Frank kind of steps in and kind of like steps in front of her. And he's like, Ellen, just hold on now. He says, you sure about what you saw, Mr. Chiggins?
Yeah, I'm getting tired of answering that question. If you don't mind me saying, I spit on the ground hard.
He says, well, Max is a little strange. I've never seen him walk fours, though. You're absolutely sure that's what you saw?
I turn my back on him, walk up, and I'm getting my guns.
He says, don't you want to eat? As you go walking away. Then he looks at Abe. He says, he gives you a look kind of like, what's going on?
What throw skills do you guys have?
I just like, I'm just gonna go with them. It just slowly just goes away.
And Frank kind of steps out away from the barbecue pit as the meat's on there, and he's kind of looking out where Max went. You know, he's kind of looking out there like he's trying to look for him. He's got kind of this look on his face like he's look of disbelief. And Ellen just kind of harumphs and goes back to cooking with Annie.
And I'll collect the 12 incendiary devices. It's actually on the Old West supply list.
Yeah.
I don't have the damage written down for it. I think it's like 3d6 or something like that.
Yeah, I think we're going to kind of treat them basically as Molotov cocktails.
So,
I mean, I kind of looked into that a little bit. The way Molotov cocktails work, it's a throw skill.
Right.
And actually, let me look at it here.
Guys.
Yeah, if they're well made, which yours are, something like that has about an 80% chance of functioning effectively. So basically, it's going to take a throw skill, and then when it lands, wherever it lands, we're going to roll a percentile, and there's an 80% chance of it actually working. Okay. And I think the damage for Molotov cocktails, like, it's fire damage. A person would have to make a luck roll to not catch on fire by being in the blast of it. And if they catch on fire, they take, like, I think it's 1d6 per round fire damage. Might be a little more than that, though. I can look it up. All right, so Isaac is armed. He gets his incendiary devices. I'm not sure you could actually carry 12 on you, though, Lee. I mean,
I don't. I have them in a. They're in a crate.
Right. Okay.
I'm bringing them down to the party. You know.
I mean, if you're on foot, you know, you can carry a couple of them with you in your pocket or something.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I'm bringing them down so everybody can grab a couple if needed. Basically.
I'm gonna have my pistol on me, cradling my Henry rifle, and have my 12 gauge double barrel shotgun on me too. I'm armed up.
All right.
I just have all my weapons.
Yeah, those incendiary devices do 2d6 initially.
I have my TNT as well.
2d6. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
I'll return to the pig pit and offer out my Arkansas toothpick. Get some meat on that so I can chew it.
I'll move out to the grill area with the incendiary devices with Mercy.
Okay. Well, looking out there. Okay. Well, looking out there to where Max went. Here, let me look at the. Just gonna look at the big map here for a second.
I have my sharp rifle loaded, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Carbine sitting on the table next to us.
So, Kyle, you know, you kind of get your binoculars out again, kind of looking out there towards where Max went. Here's the Red Fox Inn right here. Max kind of went out to the north, out this way. Here, let me kind of off in this direction.
Near the old cemetery?
Like north. Yeah, northeast. Kind of ran out towards this way. And you can kind of see, it's not too far. It's only a couple hundred yards out from the inn where you last saw him out there. But yeah, he was definitely heading in that direction to meet his friends, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Cthulhu.
He'll be coming back for dinner.
He probably wouldn't be too hard to track him.
I'm just not gonna go forward.
How do I feel about leaving my dangerous?
Well, he's shackled to the bed. He's not going anywhere.
Y'all want to have a look-see?
You feed him a couple of times a day. He's fine. He's actually, you probably shot him. You know, he's got like a wound. He's weak.
I'm loading him up. I'm loading him up with laudanum, so he's nice and docile.
Okay. So be it.
He's all, glassy-eyed and stupefied. I'm a half a notion to go out there and take a look, boys.
Yeah, I think so. And I like your.
I'm just going to stay behind.
Addicting him to opium, so then you can control him better. That's an excellent idea.
Old bounty hunter trick. Learn it from a Chinaman.
Good stuff.
Well, what do you say, War Club?
All right, so we'll go out and I'll try to do some tracking.
Something ain't right.
I'm going to stay behind.
All right. Abe's going to stay back at the inn. Safe and warm.
Come on, Abe. We need you. Come on. That's what War Club says. Come on.
All right. So once you get out into the area there, Lee, you find Max's tracks. And, you're really not surprised, but you do see that he traveled off towards the woods out here. These are all woods in this area. south of the cemetery. Looks like he went out into the woods, and it does look like that he dropped to all fours at some point. Give me some track. Give me a track roll.
See, I knew it. My eyes weren't playing tricks on me.
Give me another track roll.
Can I try to track too?
Yes, please.
I'll go ahead and I'll burn the 14 luck.
Okay. Burn the 14 luck. And you manage to follow the tracks into the woods. But it's kind of difficult going because there's like these thickets of brambles. And there's no real track or anything that you're following. You're just going through the woods following his tracks. Max seems to have been traveling at an incredible rate of speed, judging by his tracks. On all fours, continuously. Give me another track roll.
Jeez.
You're losing light now.
Burnable.
I'll burn 18 points to keep the scent going.
All right. With Mercy's help.
Luck, man?
Yeah, well, Mercy's help, you're able to follow the tracks. By the time you get up near the old cemetery up here, it's getting pretty dark. It's like twilight. The sun is going down now. It's dark out here. And
let's get out.
You guys can give me a listen roll now, Lee and Kyle. Give me a listen roll.
I didn't return if I get you chocolate and I didn't return the fucking thing because Christmas said it was.
Okay, listen roll.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Oh, yay.
Good job.
Nice, Kyle.
Look at that, 18.
Yeah, I don't even have a great score at it, so.
You guys get to a point in tracking here, Lee, where you think you lost it. So you kind of start doing some concentric circles trying to regain the trail. And you think that you probably lost them. And just at that point, Mercy, you think you hear the sound of human voices up over that rise to the north. Sounds like men's voices. Several men.
Well,
Stealth up there.
I motioned him to War Club and let him know.
Okay.
Let's head that way.
So you do.
We stealth up there, man.
And now there's some pretty thick foliage up here, some scrubby bushes. And as you get closer, Isaac, you begin hearing the voice too. And as you crest the rise there, you see the old cemetery kind of on the side of this hill down below you. And you guys are kind of peering through the bushes on a strange scene. Standing around a grave are 10 large men dressed in overalls and plaid shirts with heavy work boots. And one of them seems to be directing the actions of the others. You can see a couple of lanterns on the ground illuminating the scene down there below. So it's easy to kind of make out their faces. So you guys give me an idea roll, just for the hell of it. Lots of rolls.
Intelligence? Or
it is, yeah, it's intelligence. Mm-hmm.
He knows automatically.
All right, Mercy, if you were to guess, these guys look like lumberjacks, like loggers, just by the way they're dressed and the way they're built. But lanterns are kind of illuminating the scene. You can see their faces. And as you guys watch, peering through the bushes, suddenly you see Max. Max Boot suddenly pops out of the grave that the men are surrounding. It's an open grave. Max pops out of the grave that all these men are surrounding, and he's holding the ends of ropes in his hands, which he gives to two other guys up above before getting out of the way. And you see these men start struggling with the ropes as though they're lifting something out of the grave. And then you see it. You see a coffin begin rising out of the grave tied to these ropes. And as the rest of the group of men kind of stands back to make room for the casket, the guy who looks like he's directing these guys, the supposed leader of this group, steps forward. And when the coffin kind of rests on the ground there next to the open grave, he reaches his hand down and he flips open the lid. And you guys can see inside the casket appear to be like hundreds of what look like ceramic jars. And you see these guys start taking these ceramic jars out of the casket and stuffing them into satchels and backpacks. And when the coffin's empty, they put the lid back on the coffin and lower it back down to the grave and start covering it back up with shovels. And you can see some of them now are kind of walking off to the northwest there with these satchels and packs filled with these ceramic jars.
Did they? Who all has the ceramic jars? They have them packed away. Is there like they're in like separate bags?
Yeah, there's like 10 guys, and when he opens up the casket, you can see all these ceramic jars on the inside. That they're not very big. They're like the size of like something you'd keep like preserves in or something.
Do they
kind of like a mason jar, but thicker and like opaque ceramic?
Do they empty the casket?
Yeah, they empty the casket of the jars and they start stuffing the jars into satchels and backpacks. And some of these guys, you know, they kind of just disperse after the casket is put into the grave. They disperse out into the woods. You guys can give me a spot hidden. Lee, you can roll spot hidden too. Okay. Mercy, looking at the graveyard in here, I have a. It's actually kind of cool. It's not a nighttime shot, but I thought it was kind of cool. This kind of gives you an idea of like an old graveyard, right? Like an old kind of brick-looking structure. But looking down there, Mercy, you've got the binoculars. You can see this actually seems to be sort of like the old parts of maybe a larger graveyard up here on this hill. And you can see some of the tombstones. It doesn't look like any of them date after around 1797. So it's a really old graveyard. But here's what you notice. The grave that they had dug up to pull that coffin out of, right next to that, you can see what appears to be another fresh, unmarked grave. You can see the soil's like upturned a little bit, and it's kind of black looking, like something was recently buried right there next to the coffin that they dug up. And by this time, all of these guys have kind of dispersed out into the woods with their satchels and packs after burying the coffin, the empty coffin again in that grave down there. And by this time, it's dark. You can kind of see the faint glow of their lanterns disappear as they go out into the woods. Max Boot was with them.
Well, War Club.
Track.
We want to keep following these guys. There's too many of them for us to tackle by ourselves.
Yeah, it can be awful hard to track at night in the woods too. You can try.
I recommend we come back here during the light of day. Huh?
So let's see if we can't track a little. We'll try to track just a little bit.
Okay. Give me a hard track roll. That's a regular success. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yes.
Mercy.
That's nice.
See, all those months traveling with War Club, you learned something.
I did.
All right. After tracking for about another 20 minutes, you get kind of a mishmash. They're all heading in generally the same direction, Kyle. They're heading, the tracks kind of turn south, and they're traveling more down in this direction. Looks like going down towards the old Indian site, and that's where you tracked them up to. There's this old Indian burial ground that you guys come across, and they traveled southwest from there. Looks like they're probably heading back down toward the Red Fox River and the logging camps down there that you guys saw on your maps. So that leads you to believe that these guys indeed are loggers.
So let's go.
Mm.
And you guys probably should go back to the inn.
Also, something that's rather remarkable. You do notice on the way, some of these tracks looks like some of these guys are also traveling on all fours. But they're not like animal tracks. They're not bear tracks. Isaac is sure of this. They're not bear tracks. They're not wolf tracks. They're not cat tracks. They're not paw tracks. They're like human hands and human feet traveling on all fours. Very strange. So you've tracked them to the Indian side. If you want to keep tracking them, I'm going to need some more hard tracking rolls.
Where? All right, let's see here.
You're going to need a track. This is fellas.
Boom.
You need another tracking roll?
Well, you can roll if you want, Kyle. Wouldn't hurt. You already checked it, but Isaac made the hard track roll. Straight up.
Good job, Isaac.
All right. You follow them along the base of Antler down here. It looks like you track them for 2 miles to the Red Fox River. And it looks like they crossed the river in sort of a shallow ford area here in the Red Fox Forest. You're back in the woods. And that's where you kind of start losing the trail. I'm going to need a hard track with a penalty die to track them from here on out.
I asked Mercy, I said, we might want to go back to the Abe. Should we go collect Abe?
Well,
he's not with us, right?
Yeah, and also don't forget, Mercy did notice in that graveyard that other fresh grave right next to the one they dug up. Just something of note.
Right.
Can we make our way back to the cemetery?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take you a couple more hours to walk back to the cemetery. You guys have been out here. Abe, they've been gone for probably almost a few hours now.
Yeah, I'm just going to go to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 10 p.m. Kind of wonder, will they ever come back? I don't know.
I just go to sleep.
All right.
Except I bar my door.
Hmm.
Well,
we have our horses, right?
You want to come back here during the day, or you want to go tonight?
The day.
Let's go back to the inn.
All right, we'll head back to the Red Fox Inn.
All right. Only one notable thing happens on your way back to the Red Fox Inn. Back in the direction you came from, sort of drifting on the wind, you swear you hear this sort of, it's like a meeping kind of sound, like that a bird would make. But whatever it is, it's far enough away for you to realize, like, that's no bird. Whatever that sound is, it's something big. Yeah, it sounds like a peeping or a meeping sound, like a meep. It's really weird. It sounds like a sound like a songbird would make, but whatever's making it is large. It'd have to be a 100-pound bird to make that sound, Lee.
Oh.
I mean, it's that far away. You know, it's like a mile back behind you. And you hear it several times at different distances, like overlapping each other for a little while, and then it will stop, and you guys will start trekking back to the end. Then you'll hear it again a little more faintly, back in the direction you came, like towards where the logging camp is. Give me a nature roll.
Something crazy's going on down there.
Nice.
It ain't natural, Isaac. Whatever it is, you've never heard an animal make that sound before. It can best be described as a sort of gibbering, meeping sound.
I tell them, I'm like, that something ain't right.
Made by something at least as large as a large canine or larger. I mean, you've heard coyotes maybe make similar sounds, but nothing like that. Nothing that big, and that loud. And you're hearing it from like, a mile or two away at this point. So whatever it is, but then it kind of dissipates after a while. You don't hear it anymore as you get back to the end. And your boots are all muddy.
Early in the morning.
Yeah, Miss Colville yells at you as you come in. She's like, "Take them boots off."
Yes, ma'am.
Can't you see I'm trying to clean up here?
We're sorry, Miss Colville.
Yep. All right, so you get back to the inn, safe and sound. All you hear are crickets. No more meeping. No more gibbering meeping.
Miss Scoville, do you mind if I have a nightcap of whiskey, please? It's been a long day.
She says, why certainly, Mr. Chiggins. Just help yourself to the bar there.
War Club, you want in?
You know it.
All right, pour us 3 fingers.
Yeah.
You feel much better now.
Get up early in the morning, go to the collect Abe and go to the cemetery, and then head back down there.
Okay.
Up early.
Yeah, the weather's much better today. The ground's still pretty muddy. Once you guys get out.
At the crack of dawn.
At the crack of noon. Yes, at the crack of dawn. You guys get up here into these woods. And you're still picking up some faint tracks. I mean, this is where all these guys came through. You can still see the tracks kind of leading back to the old cemetery, so it's pretty easy to find the second time around. And again, Abe, here's what you see. They've taken you to this place out in the woods. Most of these old tombstones and stuff out here are dated, 1754, 1780. I really don't see any that are any newer than 1797.
I just look at it.
Yeah, and you guys kind of push the brambles away and shit and get up in there and find the 2 fresh graves that they told you about, that they were, saw these guys digging up this grave out here last night. Now you're kind of standing about looking down at these 2 fresh graves.
Well,
there's no markers.
No markers.
We're going to dig up the one where there weren't the containers of jellied brains or whatever they were digging out last night.
Okay.
We should probably dig that up too and take a look in the coffin though, just to see if we can find anything.
Yeah, but I got a notion that the missing boys in this calving the ground here war club.
Probably. Something's in there.
All right, so you dig down, and before too long, Mercy, your shovel hit something. Oh, looks like bone. Yeah, it's a corpse. So you kind of clear away a little bit of the dirt. And yeah, it looks like a corpse that was buried without a coffin. And then the smell hits you. And Mercy exclaims, "Oh, it's fresh!" You find a dirt-encrusted, maggot-ridden, half-eaten corpse. It can't be any. Yeah, it looks like it's not a couple weeks old, if that.
Oh, still on it?
Yep.
Can I check Ben's pockets?
First of all, for you guys who don't have hardened, I think that's you, Lee. I need a sanity check. Unless you have hardened too. Does everybody have hardened? It's no fun. No. Isaac has strong as an ox and alert. So I will need a sanity check for you, Lee. You can roll your sanity with the green button next to your sanity score there.
Nice.
He makes it. Just lose one sanity, please. I mean, Isaac has seen some bloody shit, but as I said, it's not just a dirt-encrusted, maggot-ridden corpse. It appears to have been half-eaten, as if big chunks of flesh were ripped off of the body. Its bones were crushed by, looks like probably some powerful jaws or claws. I mean, your best guess in a natural sense is a grizzly, but it don't look like a grizzly. The claw marks really aren't consistent with that. Abe, in his pants pocket, you find a wallet.
I look at it.
Inside is just some, it's like some cards with names of businesses and stuff on it like that. But you actually pull out what appears to be a title of some kind it's like a land title. And it's got the name Robert Hammond on it.
Oh.
He immediately recognizes this is the guy who went missing a couple weeks ago that all the hubbub was about. You couldn't tell by looking at him.
Rich dude.
Yeah, you certainly couldn't tell by looking at him.
How far is this from the house?
Identify him, that is.
Right. So, do you guys want to dig up the other grave and see what was it? Just to check that coffin, or not?
Well, we knew it was empty last night.
All right, some gray clouds start kind of rolling in. It starts drizzling a little bit now.
We cover the body back up.
All right, the smell of that corpse just still kind of clings to everything. You can smell it on your clothes. But you cover it back up. Abe, you see this sort of half-collapsed structure over there on the other side of the graveyard, kind of like this picture here. So you kind of just take a few steps, kind of look inside, and you can see footprints, like human footprints, in kind of the dusty dirt and mud inside there. Looks like some people have been in there recently.
Oh, we search.
It looks like it was some kind of old building at one point. You can't tell. It's in shambles. But there's definitely some human footprints in there. Hell, there's human footprints all over here if you look. You know, kind of down in the moss and the leaves and the mud and shit. Looks like there's been a lot of activity up here recently.
We'll take a look around at it. I'll use my track skill if it's applicable. Search the area.
It's not. It doesn't take much to just kind of realize that, you know, whoever these guys have been and coming out here, they've been going between here and the direction of that logging camp. Those tracks you were found last night, they're consistently in that direction, back and forth, leaving and going. You don't see any footprints coming in from anywhere else. I mean, you find your normal sign of deer and coyotes, things like that.
We could set up an ambush, possibly. War Club says.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I think we ought to booby trap the coffin.
If they're coming back, yeah. If they're coming back and forth,
I do not want to die.
Yeah, well, that's why we'll ambush them. We can put like 7 sticks of dynamite in the coffin and run out.
I just give him that and just like, I'm not dealing with
wire to it.
I just give him the TNT. I'm just like, I'm going to go back. I'm not dealing with this.
All right.
Yeah, Abe's a little out of his element out here on Antler Hill, apparently, the old cemetery.
I thought we'd have to go back and get the supplies anyways, but I'm just saying
I was carrying some TNT on me.
Possible ambush site,
Well, he was carrying his TNT on him. How many sticks you got?
Hold on. I got about, I'm going to say I was holding 3.
That's the trail you guys kind of followed to the river. This seems to be the path that these guys are taking, apparently.
Anywhere along that trail is a possible ambush site, right?
The old cemetery is, and the dots on the map represent wooded areas. So yeah, there's some wooded areas along there. There's some hilly terrain as well. I mean, this whole area right here is part of Antler Hill. So you guys are kind of more at the base of it. It's still a hilly area, but Antler Hill rises right where it says Antler Hill and kind of recedes down towards the river, the south. Red Fox Inn kind of lies on the northern face of that hill, facing the water. Yeah, the scale's not accurate, of course, but you get an idea. There is let's see, it says 1 mile. 1 mile is like this. That's a mile. Or here, let me do it up here. I guess that's about a mile. So it's a good 2.5, 3 miles to the logging camp from here. About a mile from the Red Fox Inn, about a mile from the old Indian site.
I'd rather see if we could.
And now it's a gray and drizzly day this afternoon.
Club's like, if we try to go down there where they're at that logging camp, they'll be in their full force. Of them.
Yeah.
Outside.
They'll gather over here.
Whack them. Then we might have a chance to go down there and find out what's going on. Okay.
So we're like about a mile away from the Red Fox.
Yeah, about a mile.
We can easily go back and get all our, get a crate of dynamite and our incendiary devices.
Well, I got nitroglycerin on me. So why don't we half dig up this body? They won't be able to resist that. Put some nitro under it where if they lift the body, a rock smashes it down, blows up the nitro. Boom. While they're all gathered about.
Yeah, you should put a 6-pack of dynamite under that.
Right. And then we get them all.
But war club says, I kill as many of them as we can. Then we can let loose with our firearms on them.
Bunch of graveyard ghouls, weird.
Yeah, whatever's going on out here, it ain't good.
All right, war club.
It kind of gives you guys the heebie-jeebies a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll go back to the inn and get the case of incendiary devices.
All right, so we're going back to the inn.
Yeah,
I'm grabbing
collect their stuff.
Gently grabbing the nitro. Gently.
When you get back to the inn, the others are there, Mr. and Mrs. Coville, and Jake. And Jake's kind of asking you guys, questions. You're like, where you guys been?
Fishing.
Oh, just enjoying the natural beauty of this area. I can see why it's legendary for fishing and relaxing. Can't get enough of it.
Oh, you've been doing some fishing, have you?
Oh no, I just see why it's legendary for that.
Uh-huh.
You know, any man can look in the water and see fish a jumping, you know?
Yeah. Can I buy you fellas a drink?
Abe just like, yes.
Ah. Yes, come over here, my good sir.
I buy a whiskey.
And Jake's like behind the bar serving up some whiskey and beer. And Jake says, you know, last night I heard these noises out towards the river. Did you guys hear that? Just kind of nonchalantly, he says that. He's just drinking his beer. Sounded like a bird or something. Whatever it was, it didn't sound like no bird.
Indeed, we did.
You did?
I heard it too.
What the hell was that?
Well, while they're talking to this guy, I leave and I go collect our stuff.
Yeah, you know where all my stuff is, you know. And I'm rolling. So I'm trying to scope this guy psychologically too, Sean. Like, why is he? Is he genuinely interested? Is he trying to pick our brains? What the hell is he up to?
Go ahead and give me a psychology roll if you want. Yeah. Yeah, he's just kind of honestly asking questions.
Okay.
Just like a newsman would. He does seem a little suspicious. You can tell just by his body language, you know. He's like, you know, he's asking questions like, so Mercy, what were you guys doing out there in the woods last night after the cookout? You guys find anything out there? Because Mrs. Coville told me something about Max running off to see some friends last night, and you were talking about how he was walking on all fours or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I must have been seeing things. I could have sworn that's what I saw, but that doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, not really. I guess maybe Miss Coville was right. Maybe he had a little too much to drink, huh?
Yeah, I reckon so.
War Club loads up the stuff on the horses and comes back in and goes, all right, gotta go.
All right, he comes out from behind the bar. He's like, all right, fellas, we'll see you later. He's looking out the window. And he says, you guys boys going hunting or something? I mean, you can see the horses are all like, you know, you guys aren't leaving, are you?
I don't turn around and look at him or nothing. I just start walking.
Just the sound of spurs walking out the door. Okay. Versus like big spit. He spits hard.
I'm just like sitting in the corner.
Come on, Abe, let's go.
No. You have to deal with this. I'm not good with this kind of thing.
All right. So come on, War Club, let's go.
All right. And as they're getting on their horses and stuff out there, Abe, Jake comes over to you. He comes back over to the bar and he says, what the hell's going on around here, Abe? What are those guys doing?
I just shrug. I don't know.
Says you heard those sounds too last night, didn't you?
No. I was here.
All right. Well, he kind of walks out behind the bar again, out from behind the bar. He's looking out the window as Mercy and Isaac go riding off, and he says, there's something strange going on around here. Where are you guys riding to?
Terry. Oh, Terry.
Okay, then.
Well, actually, I tell War Club, let's ride a little north, not make a beeline for the cemetery, because
for sure. We can come around. We can flank it from the north. That's a great idea.
That book writing fellow is going to be trying to track us or something. You know, we gotta.
We can go up to the one and cut down. You know.
Yeah. I would have told him, but you know, he's going to get out here and get killed. Kill one of us.
Killed. He's going to get himself
killed.
That
newspaper boy needs to shut his pie hole.
Says Isaac, yeah.
Yeah.
He has no clue what's going on.
Hell, I ain't got no clue what's going on, War Club. This is some weird stuff.
Hey, you know,
crazy. Trap. I know one thing.
Crazy shit happens.
They ain't gonna like what's gonna happen to them next. We're gonna bloody them up good.
Yeah. We go up there, man, and flank the position from the north.
Okay. It is still kind of early afternoon. You guys are on horseback, so it's a little quicker getting out there. And you get out to the cemetery, out there in the woods, the hill.
We'll hide our horses kind of back, you know, on the northern end.
Mm-hmm.
We put them where the wind's not blowing their scent over the cemetery, you know.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, the approach that these guys are taking are from, you know, the southwest, kind of like this.
Right.
So it makes sense to kind of hide your horses maybe on the north side of the cemetery there. It's kind of hard to tell where the cemetery begins and where it ends. The part where these graves are, look to be in like more of the center of wherever the cemetery originally stood, in the older part of it. But it does kind of spread out. You can see tombstones out there kind of, you know, down on that side of the hill. You see a couple. So it looks like this cemetery has been here for a very long time. So you hitch your horses, I guess, on the north side of the cemetery. And then what's the plan?
So I think we can set up. I'll take the case of incendiary devices and the dynamite initially. We'll put them in that, you know, that structure.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looking down on the gravesite area. Is that correct?
Yeah, the old cemetery is kind of spread out, but the area where the graves were is a little more dense with graves. Is that the area that you want to do it, where they were kind of about digging up these graves and shit? Or you want to do more of a perimeter kind of thing of the area?
No. I think we want to concentrate our booby traps and stuff definitely where the grave was, in that area.
Okay. Well, that kind of begs the question.
After we set that up, if we set that up, then we would be, you know, then we would hide so we could rain fire down on them.
Mm-hmm. Well, it kind of begs the question, like, what kind of traps are we talking about here? Like your traditional, like, snare traps, or are you trying to make explosive traps, or what's the deal?
No, actually just plant dynamite.
Oh, dynamite traps, of course.
With fuse,
mm-hmm.
You know, or some type of capping device.
Well, I've got blasting caps.
Yeah, if you got blasting caps, then you probably have a plunger of some kind, like an electronic detonator.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I had 10 blasting caps. So let's how many I had 10 sticks of dynamite. Abe gave me 3, and I got 100-yard fuse. We got how do you want to do this?
Well, I think we should I think your idea is not a bad idea to kind of like disturb where the body was. Maybe dig up around the
put his hand coming out of the ground or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll bundle up. What do you do? Like 12 sticks?
Yeah. So what you have, you got a bunch of, and when you use the dynamite with blasting caps, you would hook it up to an electronic detonator, like the old-timey plunger things. So you could hook up several bundles to it, you know, using the fuse or the line that goes from the electronic detonator to the actual bundles of dynamite. blasting caps.
So let's see.
So you could detonate it all at once, kind of a thing, is what I'm thinking.
Is there like a tree with a nice branch hanging over that? Like, you know, like it would be like an upside down armpit sort of situation.
Sure.
Where you could rest something on it.
Yeah, you got all kinds of trees kind of around, you know.
Like a gallon of kerosene.
Yeah. So you're going to do like an improvised trap kind of a thing with kerosene?
Yeah,
well,
what we can use is basically a couple, like a stick of dynamite under the kerosene with a blasting cap and a wire running to that. We'll do it all at the same time, right? Simultaneously. Woo-hoo!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
So they get a little bit of heartburn after they eat the dynamite.
All right, I got you. Okay, so once you guys get all of this set up, what's the plan then? You know, wait.
We're gonna hide hide the cables and go back to the I guess the best area we can to hide where we have our guns. And is that structure, or is there a place?
Probably that tumble down brick structure out there. Yeah, I mean that provides some cover. There's kind of an inside area to it, although the roof and some of the walls are collapsed. It does provide some kind of hiding area and cover, not too far away from the graves.
I'll set up I'll have the incendiary devices there for us, ready to throw.
Okay. All right.
50 and my 56 carbine all loaded up and ready to rock.
Okay.
All our weapons are loaded.
All right, so Abe, back at the inn, Jake Scobie continues to kind of ask you questions, more general kind of questions, like now, like, you know, so where are you from, friend? And
I'm from Germany.
Yeah, and he kind of wants to know your life story at that point.
I tell him
so you came out here from Louisiana, say, kind of a thing, you know.
I tell him like almost part of it, and leaving out my brother.
Okay. And the whole time he's kind of like, you know, you guys are drinking it up. Frank joins you after a little while for a couple of drinks.
Frank.
Yep, Frankie Colville. Let's see here. Oh. Abe, give me an idea. To intelligence.
Oh.
And after that, give me a Constitution roll.
Oh. No.
Okay. Okay. So you and Jake and Frank, late that afternoon, I guess, you know, you can smell that Annie's cooking up some dinner back there in the kitchen. But you guys just kind of spend the afternoon shooting the shit, having some drinks and stuff. And before too long, Abe, you notice that you're pretty drunk. Like when you try to stand up, you know, to go to the latrine, you kind of stumble a little bit, you know. You feel like you're pretty. Wow, you're kind of wasted.
I just try to no my drink.
And these guys laugh, and you're all wasted at this point. Okay.
No my drinks.
They laugh.
Oh, it's time to maintain.
Yeah, he says, it's okay, Dutchman. We'll have dinner ready here pretty soon. Well, I've got a nice bottle of brandy. So you walk out to the latrine, and as you're out there, there is an outhouse on the property. It's not on the map, so that's probably where you're going. There are latrines kind of built into some of these buildings if you look at it. But when you go out there to the outhouse, Abe, you know, you kind of go in and shut the door, and you start hearing these sounds coming from the west, like out in the woods, kind of echoing through the hills. and you hear it kind of briefly, but whatever it is, it's pretty loud. It's far away, and it's this gibbering, meeping kind of sound. It sounds like a cross between a wounded dog and
I'm instantly terrified.
and like a, I don't know, like a monkey or something.
I'm instantly terrified.
You're a fairly educated man. You're a worldly man. You've been to too. Sounds like the cross between like a monkey and a dog or something. It's very strange.
But I get a chill up my spine.
Yes.
As in, like, I'm just gonna leave. I don't care.
Right. It startles you so much that you can't even finish your business.
Yes.
And you just walk back. You shut the outhouse door and kind of quickly, step and stumble back to the inn.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys back in the graveyard, you're waiting it out. Afternoon turns into evening. Evening turns to dusk, and the sun goes down. And as you guys are waiting up there on that hill, on that cemetery, you're just listening, waiting. And all you hear, the crickets, and the wind, and the trees. And then, Isaac, you realize there's a full moon coming up tonight. You see it break across the horizon. And this bright, yellowish white gibbous moon begins rising. And let's take a few-minute break, shall we?
All right.
And then we'll continue. I will be right back.
Okay.
All right. Oh, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was waiting for. All right. Some good shit. All right.
Those are great movies. Great movies.
Yeah, I could watch them over and over again.
And we all have.
Yes.
Yeah. A few dollars more, fistful of dollars. Those are awesome.
I never get tired of those.
Ah.
All right, so we left off with the gibbous moon, meaning that actually, Lee, the moon that's coming up, you would know this, you're the nature guy. The gibbous moon is waxing to full moon, so you know that tomorrow night it's going to be a full moon. In this, as in the silence kind of up here on this hillside, you begin remembering some things, you know, from perhaps your past travels. And it occurs to you, you remember speaking with this like old Algonquin medicine man years ago. And he was telling you some of the Indian legends, what the Algonquin called skinwalkers. And they described them as these creatures of the night who have they call them shapeshifters, where they have the ability to shift their forms from human to animal forms and back again. And you remember this because that old Algonquin medicine man told you that these skinwalkers do tend to travel on all fours. And some of the beliefs of the Indians, you remember him telling you, is that these creatures of the night often steal young babies. And what they'll do is they'll leave what the Indians call wild things in their place after they steal the baby. And these wild things, as they call them, appear human initially, and they become stranger and weirder as they grow older. One day, normally around maturity, they disappear from their communities.
X.
So you make this connection between, you know, these creatures of the night who run around on all fours, and then you remember that story of the skinwalkers and the wild things, as they called them, that old man told you about.
I relate this to Mercy.
Oh, and of course my point is these things do tend to kind of emerge and come out in the time of the full moon. So once again, you get the heebie-jeebies after remembering all of this stuff. You're still not hearing anything or seeing anything. What you're kind of looking for is like maybe some lanterns, because you know that these guys were traveling with lanterns for a while on here. So you're looking for lights, you're listening for like men's voices or any indication of these guys coming. And you remember the story, and I think Isaac turns to Mercy and says,
Tomorrow night.
He says what?
Tomorrow night.
Mercy?
He'll be out here tomorrow night.
Isaac says tomorrow night.
Be a full moon.
Yeah.
Hey, sure. I'm telling the tale of the skinwalkers that I heard from the Algonquin medicine man.
Oh.
War Club. Why are you telling these stories late at night? Just pay attention to the goddamn munitions and let's figure out what's going on with these.
And then he said they take their babies and replace them with these monsters that will grow up. And she's like, "Shut up!"
I said, "Shut your pie hole." Trading track man. Jeez.
That's what was Max Hood. He was one of them freak babies.
I don't
give the charity and he ran off.
I don't give a tobacco chew what he is. We're just going to take him out now. No, cut that nonsense and get back on the clock.
Let's go back to the inn and go to sleep and come back here tomorrow night. Come on.
You don't think ain't nothing going to happen tonight?
Nope. I think it's going to be tomorrow night when the moon is full. Fuckers are active.
But should we grab the blasting caps? I guess there won't be no use without the plunger, so I just take the plunger with me.
And just lay the dynamite out and the dynamite with the blasted caps and the fuse out there.
Will it stay good, Sean, or do we need to come back and replace it? That's the question.
Well, how much you know about dynamite? Probably enough. Yeah, I mean, it should be kept dry, for one thing.
So we'll collect it up.
All right.
We'll get up, go get a good night's sleep, and then.
It's no big deal to bring it all up. It's not like you guys are demolition experts or anything. It's not like you had everything and, placed with precision and correctly attached. You know what I'm saying? It's like you kind of think there's a good chance of this working when you push that plunger. So yeah, it's not too much to tear it back up again and put it all back in the crates. Hey, Aiden.
Yeah?
So all you drunkards back at the inn, so you start having a pretty good time. Frank pulls out a deck of cards, and they're goading you into playing some poker with them.
All right.
All right. So it's a $5 buy-in. Although Jake pushes for 10. Frank says that's too rich for my blood, son. So it's a $5 buy-in. Give me a gambling roll. I think all you guys have pretty much 10%. So.
All right. No.
All right, so everybody breaks even. Let's do one more. See if we get any big winners here. There's a 41. Oh, you got a 13. That's close. All right, so you guys are all breaking even back there. You realize at some point, Aiden, that talking to Jake over this game of cards and drinking and stuff, you kind of catch yourself a couple of times probably saying stuff about, like you bring up San Rafael, and you mentioned Kid Richter a couple times.
Yeah.
And you realize at some point that like Jake is actually doing a pretty good job of kind of like siphoning you for information.
Oh, jeez.
You know what I'm saying? Like you catch yourself kind of saying things that maybe you probably wouldn't have said otherwise if you weren't so drunk. And once you realize that, you're kind of like, you're getting tired now. And, Jake's kind of pushing you in the story at San Rafael. So what happened at the church and what did that nun say? And you're like, oh shit, I've said too much.
No. You know too much.
Yeah, so old Jake Scobie is a pretty charming fella up until about 15 minutes ago when it became pretty obvious that he's kind of trying to take advantage of you when you're drunk and asking you these questions. So things get kind of awkward there, and Jake kind of backs off, and everybody disperses for the night. Frank lets the dog in, since and by the way, Max Boot, he hasn't come back since last night, by the way, and Frank's kind of pissed off about that because he has to go out and bring in the cows himself. So by the time that Mercy and Isaac get back to the inn, Abe, you're kind of getting ready for bed, probably washing up.
I tell Isaac that don't trust that reporter.
Yeah, you guys come back into your rooms.
I tell him.
I guess your rooms are like upstairs, right?
Tell him stuff. So
you just kind of, get your shit put away out over there in the stable, and you get into the inn. Nobody's in there. There's a fire going in the living room. You guys go up the stairs, and you see Abe, standing there by the wash basin washing up, and he turns to you.
And he's
obviously drunk. When he turns, he kind of stumbles, and he looks obviously drunk, and he says,
And pale.
yeah, and he said what? Don't trust that reporter. Something like that.
Also, I told him some of the events.
Yeah, he's like,
That's
kid
okay.
wrecked her, and
Mercy's like, well, it's good to know that boys in Germany get too drunk sometimes too. Tell you what, Abe, get yourself a good night's sleep. We'll worry about it tomorrow. What's done is done. I think he's already snoring.
He just like automatically falls.
yeah, he hits the bed and he's out like a light. You guys are pretty tired too after spending all day out there on Antler Hill.
Still keep a watch.
All right, so you keep watching. Yeah, you got some windows in your room up here.
Well, we'll wait.
Isaac,
We'll wait.
Isaac, keeping like first watch, second watch, third watch kind of thing.
I'll make sure that Red Harlow's got plenty of laudanum.
We'll wake up Abe.
Yeah, Red Harlow, you got him chained to the fucking bed over here. He ain't saying much. He's hurt. You shot him. So the night passes, and during the night, each of you on your watch, you've got the windows up here. You got the windows open, so you're kind of sitting by the windows, looking out, sitting on the chest there. And each one of you, during your watch, at some point or another, hears the gibbering meeps coming from out there somewhere. Sometimes they're very faint. Sometimes they'll suddenly kind of break through, and you'll hear it pretty clearly, but then it'll drift away, and you won't hear it again for 10 or 15 minutes. Those sounds are definitely coming from out there. It sounds like they're coming from the south and the west, mostly. Otherwise, the night is uneventful. You wake to the rooster's crow, the cock's crow. And Abe was worthless. You couldn't get him. You couldn't wake up Abe to take his watch. So Mercy, you had to take a long watch. So you're still kind of exhausted this morning when the sun comes up. Red Harlow's like, God damn it! I need some breakfast. I'm starving over here. You ain't giving me no water since yesterday, Mercy.
Shut your gob.
He pulls on his chains. How am I supposed to sleep with these chains on? How am I supposed to eat? Come on, Mercy, let me eat like a man.
You're no man. You're a monster.
Mercy considers taking a piss on him so he doesn't have to walk outside. then he knows he's going to have to smell him, so he reconsiders. He's like, all right, Red. I'll get you some food. Just shut up.
Says, my goddamn shoulder's killing me.
Yeah, well, your other one's going to kill you soon if you don't shut up. You hear me, Red? You know I'll shoot you.
God damn you, Mercy Chiggins. I'm going to kill you. It's going to be a long ride back to San Rafael. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I guarantee it's already a long ride.
That war club kind of walks up next to him and he has his war club out and he's kind of hitting the war club into his fist. Dude,
there was a great line from Matt Dillon in Gunsmoke the other day. He had a prisoner that was, because he's always taking back prisoners, right? He's taking a prisoner back, and the prisoner was mouthing off to him, and he pointed his gun at him. He said, "I'll take you back to Dodge as pig or pork. Your choice." Get it? Alive or dead, your choice. I love that line. I'll take you back as pig or pork. God damn it.
Well, if I could only channel him. So anyways, I'll go get...
You want to take him back alive, though, of course, this guy.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I'll go get him some breakfast, and then I'll hit him with a heavy dose of laudanum so he shuts the...
All right. Yeah, he likes the laudanum. And that keeps him happy. You did shoot him pretty bad. You might lose that arm if you don't get him back to San Rafael soon.
Well, he'll still be alive with one arm.
That's true. Can imagine the marshal going, well, God damn it, he's practically dead.
Yeah, but he's not. So
Mercy's just like, well, Marshal, we all know that barely alive counts. Now, where's my reward?
Lives alive.
Right. Goddamn poster says a lot wanted alive or dead. He's alive. All right. So this would be the beginning of your third day, or at least for you two. Mercy, you've been here for a good 5 days now. You wake up, and the news is from the Covilles that Max still has not returned. Jake sleeping late. Frank looks pretty hungover. Abe's pretty hungover. And again today the weather's quite gray and drizzly. The day of the full moon.
We get breakfast and coffee and fuel up.
Alrighty.
Gotta talk Abe into coming out with us. We need another rifle.
Abe's just like,
Right, rifle.
Yeah, after a couple cups of coffee, you feel a little better, Abe.
Maybe, but
You can't remember much from last night. You remember you didn't win in poker. You remember that. And you remember something about Jake saying to you, you think maybe you had a fight with Jake. And then you realize, like, oh yeah, that bastard, he was asking me questions and stuff. Kind of takes you a little while, but you remember it.
I just like tell him to not say a word.
Yeah, Jake's sitting at one of the tables out here in the common area. He's got a notebook. I was kind of writing something, with a quill. And you walk by him.
You didn't tell him anything too important, Abe. You just talked to him.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's not quite sure what you told him, but. All right, so like I said, it is still gray and drizzly. I mean, it's up to you guys. I mean, there is the thought of just getting the hell out of here.
Can we please just?
It has only been a few days. There's a good chance that Tyson's lynch mob, his posse's still out there. It's not ideal traveling weather. Horseback.
A decent place to stay, really. I mean, it's not a super obvious place to be hiding out,
Yeah, Aussie wise.
Trying to get back.
Yeah, hide from the Aussie for sure. It's just the gibbering, meeping thing, and the whole graveyard activity is a little unsettling to you guys now, and
do something about it.
I mean, honestly, really think about it, guys. You guys in this setting, this is really your first. I mean, you've heard legends and rumors and crap like that, and maybe all of you have maybe seen something kind of weird in your life, but nothing like this. I mean, this is men digging up graves, these strange sounds, and what Isaac remembers of these creepy legends and stuff. It's the group is a little tense this morning, let's say.
How about we go to San Rafael, in 2 groups?
Get caught by the Aussie.
No. We can easily disguise. They won't stop a German. They're just looking for. They're looking for mercy.
Well, yeah, but the only reason to go back to San Rafael would be able to collect the.
Yeah, we can hide them, gag them, or just knock them out.
Right, and the thing is, though, too, Aiden, you have to realize, the whole reason why Mercy had you guys meet him up here was to give him some backup. So whether or not that means backing him up, and hiding out and holding up, or backing him up on a, 2-day ride to San Rafael, in dangerous territory, the splitting up idea, I'm not sure not sure if Mercy would jive with that, would he? He wouldn't be like, well, I ain't going it alone. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole point I called you guys out here.
Yeah. We just need to
it's all for one and one for all.
Keep our plan together, boys.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you realize, Mercy, that if the Aussie catches up with you, you're probably a dead man, you know? So it's one of those kind of things.
We need to all stick together. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So what are the general plans for today?
We're gonna load up and go back out and reset our.
Okay. Setting up the traps and everything at the graveyard.
I just like.
Oh, and then post up in our sniper spot. With his squad.
Okay.
You're right.
Yeah, the only thing that happened when you stayed there last night was you gave away lots of information. Just come with us.
All right.
All right. So as you guys are gearing up, and a little time has passed, you guys woke up, you know, maybe cleaned up a little bit, had some breakfast, some coffee and stuff like that. And Abe, you saw Jake in the common area this morning when you first got up. He was writing there at the table, and I think you said some snide comment to him.
Mm-hmm.
You guys notice as you're getting together and getting ready, are you going to go with him this time, Abe, or are you going to stay back at the inn?
I'm going to go with him.
You're going to go with him this time, okay. Frank says, hey, he says, hey, boys, come over here, look at this. And he shows you this piece of paper. And it appears to be a handwritten note from Jacob. He says, I just found this here in the bar. It looks like Jacob wrote it. And the note says, I'm sure the cemetery has a key to all of this, so I'm going to see what I can find out, because I'm sure something is about to happen. Don't worry, and don't come after me. I'll be fine. You know what they say about old newsmen.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
And he's got, like, you know, Frank's. He writes, you know, Dear Frank or whatever. I thought it was to Frank. And he says, what is this about the cemetery? And then you realize, Abe, at some point last night, you must have slept out something about the cemetery. Because, you know, of course, Mercy and Isaac were out of the cemetery yesterday. You knew that. It must have slipped out at some point.
So, Mercy, I think we should probably go intercept this guy, get our stuff, and head on out. Get him, and if he's there, we'll just knock him out.
Yeah, I mean, he was here, you know, an hour.
Yeah, let's go. All
right, no problem.
We get our stuff together and
ride hard.
Track him.
All right.
Be too hard to track. He's a big head. He's a newspaper.
All right, so you guys mount up and get on your horses like, yeah, come on, boy. And you just start hightailing it up to the cemetery. As you guys get into more steep terrain, your horses kind of slow down. The horses are breathing hard. You get up to about where the cemetery should be. And after a couple of minutes, the cemetery comes into view. And that's when the screams begin. You hear these screams from the direction of the cemetery. And then you hear this
from the north.
It's coming from the northeast. The screams of a man. And then suddenly the screams are terminated by just one particularly terrible shriek. And when his shrieking stops, you briefly hear that gibbering, meeping sound coming from the same direction for a few moments.
I'm just trying to go away.
Then it fades a little bit, and you can't hear the meeping anymore. But it can't be too far ahead. It's probably less than a quarter mile away.
Nope.
You're kind of looking up up the hill towards where the cemetery is. That's where you hear the screaming and the weird sounds from.
He's dead.
And you guys are all kind of stopped at this point. You're listening, and now there's nothing. Just the woods and the wildlife around you.
You guys probably would have commented.
Sky is gray. There's kind of light rain drizzling down on you.
I was like, let's flank around like we did before and come in from the north.
Yep.
Let's go. We'll stealth up there.
All right.
That's what we try to stealth up there, man.
Okay. Give me some stealth roll. Well, actually, technically, I should do the person with the lowest stealth roll. Who has the lowest stealth roll?
I have a 35.
I have a 50.
Pretty comparable. Oh boy, Abe's the stealthy one. Chiggins, give me a stealth check.
Nice.
All right, you can check that. You guys pull up to the graveyard, and you're nearing like the center part of the graveyard. Looking up at it, you see the structure up there. You don't see anybody up there though. There's no movement. You're kind of looking around for tracks. You see some maybe faint older tracks. You don't see anything freshly at the moment leading up there. As you get closer, you see
Weapons are out.
Yeah, oh yeah, your weapons are out. You see propped up against a tombstone near the structure up there, Jake's corpse, his body. The site's pretty gruesome. It looks like he's been torn apart. You see like his upper area of his abdomen and his chest. It looks like something bit him repeatedly. It looks like a lot of his shirt and his jacket is torn off in shreds. Something bit him with very powerful jaws, wickedly sharp teeth. There's long raking tears across his face and his neck and his arms. And even a massive rip across his abdomen. You can see his intestines are kind of hanging out. Looks like his left arm has been ripped from its socket.
Well, I guess he won't be writing any rumors anymore.
I was going to ask, was that his writing arm?
Right. There is blood everywhere, splattered all over the tombstones and the ground, and the moss, and the leaves. And there's this unpleasant stench sort of lingering up here. I'm going to need everybody to make a sanity check for this.
All right.
Even you hardened fellows.
Hardened fellows.
Good. Good.
Ooh.
All right. Isaac is an extreme success. All right. Everybody's just going to lose one sanity. Yeah, I mean, even Mercy and Abe, you guys being hardened, I mean, just the sight of what's left of his body. I mean, the guy was just completely ripped apart, literally. It looks like something just shredded him to pieces. And his face is not even recognizable. It's just a bloody pulp.
I just take his journal.
Yeah, you search him, and he really doesn't actually have any pockets. He's got some loose change in one pocket. That's it.
I take it.
He's not even armed. Yeah, I mean, most shockingly, of course, his left arm's been ripped off. And the bite marks, Lee, you being, the mountain man, whatever bit him, just the jaws of whatever bit him, I mean, they're big enough to kind of like bite into his entire upper torso. He's got bite marks in the back and the front. So whatever it was pretty big and had some massive jaws, powerful, just crushed and bloody and torn apart. Long raking tears across parts of his body. It looked like from claw marks too. This is not a bear attack or even like a cougar couldn't do this. And he's very dead.
So shall we set up our booby traps? Dynamite traps.
Let's get a track roll, or so. Go ahead and give me some track rolls, you guys. Let's see if you can find any more clues in here. I mean, I imagine that's probably one of the first things that Isaac would do is kind of start looking around and see, like, what the hell did this?
We don't know.
Wow. Okay. All right, so that's the scene in the graveyard. You guys still gonna set your booby traps on here?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And should we incorporate his corpse into a trap?
Oh my God!
Is
that like an old
War Club
Native American trapping method? Something that
exactly. Dude, War Club's been. He's hung out with the Apache and Comanche, and he's been out. I mean, he's a mountain man. He's seen it all. He's not afraid.
Right after the initial shock, he thinks,
yeah,
bait, obvious bait.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a so-called newsman.
Besides that, he was harassing Abe.
Right. He deserves it.
What is the date right now, Sean?
The date?
Mm-hmm.
It's like September 1869. It's like mid-September, early September. We're not doing a calendar for this one. It's pulp.
Oh, I was just making a note when I lost the sanity point. Why?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. September 1869. Old Cemetery, Red Fox Inn. Jake died. Killed. Jake died. Was horribly murdered.
Jake died.
By something.
Jake died. Used as bait.
Yeah. All right. So, what does this look like, Isaac? Are you just gonna like strap him to a tree and like?
Well, I assume like
dynamite to him or something.
Well, no, I would assume like probably okay. So the graves, we've got the dynamite under the hand up out of the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then above that, on a tree branch, we've got the kerosene and the one stick of dynamite to rain fire down on people. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same kind of setup as yesterday. Okay.
So basically, on the opposite side of that tree, we'll kind of prop him there, so he you can only see like the side of his head, maybe the one arm that's not been torn off.
Yeah.
And then we'll put a couple sticks of dynamite under him too.
Okay.
The triangle. You got the triangle of death.
All right. So that takes you, a good hour to get everything set up there.
I'll plant like 3 incendiary devices around the dynamite under him.
Okay, that's crazy, Lee. Are you? Yeah, I think Lee has kind of lost his marbles from being alone for so long out in the wilderness. Like I would imagine even Mercy and Abe, seeing this whole seeing Isaac devise this plan to use Jake's body for bait, you can definitely see like the savagery of the wild man sort of side of Isaac right now, I think. Because he's just plugging away just like it's another day,
I just accept it because of the
Right. Well, you guys are hardened, so.
Well, I mean, in my head, I'm just being with him before recognizing that, this is what it takes to survive.
Yeah, that, and there is that terror factor that we must consider too. I mean, there's obviously some really scary shit that's been going on the last couple days. And, I guess you guys are at a point where it's like, whatever this is, it's deadly, obviously. And you got to kind of fight fire with fire and do whatever you can to to survive, like you're saying, Kyle. So yeah,
it's got a taste for man flesh. We gotta put it down.
Right. You crazy cowboys, you. All right. So the afternoon, well, I guess you guys got out in the morning, so noon passes. So some time passes. You guys are just kind of lurking up here in the hill in the old cemetery. And time passes. Nothing much really happens. It gets to early afternoon, late afternoon. Weather doesn't really improve. Looks like the clouds may be breaking up a little bit. It might be clear tonight. But by late afternoon, there's nothing going on out here. Isaac catches a rabbit with his bare hands for lunch. He roasted on it. Eats it raw.
Oh.
So, we gotta wait till the moon's out. That's when they'll come over here.
Mm-hmm. So late afternoon turns into evening. Starts getting dark. Crickets start chirping. And in the darkness, it must be about 9 p.m. now. It's been dark for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You begin hearing the gibbering, meeping sounds coming from far to the west. I mean, you guys are up on a hill now. I guess kind of roughly looking out towards Red Fox Inn. And you can hear in the distance, occasionally, off and on, kind of wafting in and out on the wind, that strange animalistic sound coming from the direction of the Red Fox Inn.
Oh no.
Two places at once.
Some more time passes. You continue hearing some of those sounds. After a while, you don't hear them anymore. Another hour passes. It starts getting late. 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And then the moon starts coming up. And it is a full moon. 11 p.m. Then it gets to be about midnight. And the moon is hanging in the sky overhead, kind of partially obscured by these gray clouds moving through here and there, but you get a pretty good clear view of the moon. And looking out from the cemetery is partially up in the hill. It's pretty good light tonight with the full moon. You can actually see the sort of dark speck in the distance of the Red Fox Inn. You can see a line of smoke coming from the chimney way far in the distance. And now the weather's kind of clearing up now. The clouds are dissipating. The stars begin coming out. And then about 12:30, 1 a.m., you guys are all getting kind of tired now just sitting out here. You begin hearing the sounds again from the west in the direction of the Red Fox Inn for a little while. And then they go away again. And then we get into the early morning hours and still nothing has happened out here.
Well, we tried. Time to collect our stuff and go attack the logging camp, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., you guys have been up all night. You can see the faint, the moon goes down, and you can see the faint light of the sun, coming up in the east, kind of lighting up the sky, and sunrise is coming. So uneventful night in the graveyard, sitting among the tombstones, and Jake's body's still over there. Was he strapped to a tree, I think, or something? He's got a cloud of flies over there.
Like our stuff.
I just go back to the inn.
All right, so you guys going back to the inn?
Yeah, we're going back to the inn.
I just go to sleep.
All right. You guys get back to the inn. And you guys kind of get up. You pull up here to the front. pull your horses up and start hitching them up to the front where the workshop is. And you see Frank Colville standing over there on the porch. He kind of waves at you guys. He says, "Where y'all been last night?" He says, "You ain't seen Max about, have you?"
We haven't seen Max since the day he ran off.
Like a cur dog.
He says, "Well, damn." He says, "Y'all hear
What's
those
wrong with that
noises?"
boy?
He says, "Y'all hear those noises last night? It sounded like a bunch of coyotes, but not like any coyotes I ever heard."
You best keep your firearm handy.
Yeah, he's got a shotgun propped up against the balcony right next to him. But Frank seems pretty, nervous, a little upset. There's no news of Max. He tells you that Ellen, his wife, is, really upset too. She actually sent Annie into town this morning to get the sheriff, or see if the sheriff has any news about what's been going on. So I know we're getting to the end of the session here. So for this fourth day, what are you guys thinking as you pull into the Red Fox Inn? All kind of your limbs are all kind of stiff, from being out in the boonies last night. And I suppose you left Jake's body back at the cemetery. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't pick it up.
And you guys still haven't told anybody about that up there. And you haven't dug up the other grave either with the empty coffin in it. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what are you guys thinking at this point? Like this, September 12th, 1869, out here in the middle of nowhere at the Red Fox Inn with gibbering, meeping man killers about.
Like you said, there's still the grave with the empty coffin. Dig that up and see what's in there. And then there's the camp, the logging camp.
Well, Mercy's never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's
He's
Right.
he knows there's no money in this. There's probably more danger but he does like the Covilles, and
there is that.
yeah, he wants to intervene, figure out what's happening. Whatever killed the pesky newsman, and
So there is actually some morality lingering in Mercy's black heart.
oh yeah.
Okay.
If he it says right here, in his backstory, when it comes to saving somebody most Mercy holds dear, he will not hesitate to kill them by any means possible.
Right.
So, these people have been fair and nice with him,
Mm-hmm. So, can you give me a general idea what you're gonna, like, just a general direction? And so you wanted to dig up the grave in the old cemetery, and Lee's saying to check out the logging camp, too.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's all we got left. Nothing's coming back to the cemetery, so.
Right.
Eat, rest, go back to the cemetery, do the grave, and then come back and then think about, at least scouting the logging camp, maybe stealthing up there and taking the binoculars and seeing what we can see.
Okay, cool. Well, then, I usually like to leave a session with a cliffhanger, but I think that's enough. I think we can kind of foresee, perhaps, what's going to happen next session. I don't think there's any real necessary. I don't think a cliffhanger is necessary. I think just the knowledge that.
On it.
Hold on, I'm looking at something. I just had an idea, actually, for a little cliffhanger. Maybe not so much a cliffhanger. You guys find out that day as you're deciding what you're going to do and kind of planning it out. Oh, I think we lost Kyle.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, there he is. I just wanted to mention to you guys, not so much a cliffhanger, but you realize after talking to Frank a little bit more, you notice he's got a room in the lodge where he's got all these rifles and shit. You find out that Frank Koval is actually a keen hunter. He's got like 12 gauge shotguns. He's got hunting rifles. He's got all kinds of revolvers, and he makes his own bullets. He has molds for just about every caliber of weapon. He's got all of the conventional casings and casting material and all this shit. So it's interesting. You find out that Frank is actually, a pretty avid hunter, and he has some skills with. He's a bit of a gunsmith, apparently. He shows you some custom rifles that he's made.
Nice. I compliment him on his work.
Maybe. Well, if he's been out hunting here, we should ask him some questions.
Should recruit him into our little...
You ever see anything you can't explain?
No, not at all.
I
mean, he's heard, legends, like Indian legends of Sasquatch, like that, but he's never seen anything. He does say that's kind of why I got my britches in a bunch last night when I heard those noises out there in the Red Fox Forest. I never heard no animal sound like that.
That ain't natural. May right.
Says there ain't something right going. There's something wrong going on around. The missus don't like it. I don't like it much either. Says we're gonna get the sheriff down here. We're gonna get this all straightened out.
All right.
The sheriff's
We'll
gonna
join
be able to handle it?
Say again, Lee.
Do you think the sheriff's going to be able to handle it? I think it might take all of us.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll join you.
He seems pretty upset.
We'll join the sheriff.
Yeah, and then we'll just end the session by Frank Koval saying, he's like, by the way, have you seen Jake Scobie?
No.
Did you guys find him out there?
No.
Nope. Oh, you guys.
He's the one person.
Wonder where he went.
Who deserves?
I don't. Yeah, Abe's like, there's some German word for newspaper vengeance or something in German.
Here's a blast. Here's a blast from the past. The sounds in the woods. All right.
Well, unfortunately, with my headset, I can only hear you guys' voices.
All
I
right.
can't hear them.
That's all right. You heard it back on the Hell Road in Scotland.
Oh.
I remember it.
Yeah. All right, fellas, we'll end it there. We shall continue next time.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good, man.
I can't wait to see how this goes.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be explosive.
Yes.
Yeah. I really like how Abe dirty work to the other guys. I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, no, that's fine. You guys go out to the graveyard.
I'm gonna stay back and get wasted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Von Bismarcks do not trudge around in old graveyards. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's either hunting, political, or just army.
Yeah. Yeah, you are definitely out of your element here in the state, but you're getting used to it.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of a nice little respite from that old San Rafael. It's kind of This is more like Germany up here. You know what I'm saying? You don't like all the dust and cactus and all that. You're a little
Sand.
more
Abe went crazy on the Kid Richter game.
Oh yeah, totally. He's a good
Yes.
shot. All von Bismarcks are a good shot.
Yes.
All right, fellas. Until next time.
All
Nice
right.
to see you.
Thanks, Sean. Good game.
Yep. Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
And
It was fun.
Everyone.
Have a good weekend, everybody, and have a great holiday.
All right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, we'll see you guys. Good night.
Good night.